Chapter 41-45. In the Demon Emperor Dragon Country, he naturally would not see any familiar faces from the Yen Dragon Emperor's court. But now, Kong Shinmu saw someone he definitely did not want to see. That was the Snow Devil King, who looked similar to the young master of Snow Devil City, the Dragon King of Snow Devil City. He actually found this place. Kong Shinmu was a little surprised. He immediately turned and left, not attracting the attention of the other party. At this moment, the other party was drinking in a restaurant in the royal city. His eyes were filled with deep hostility and anxiety, as if he was looking for someone to take revenge on. Without a doubt, the other party had chased him all the way from the Snow Devil City to the Demon Dragon Emperor City. If Jiang Shenwu was caught here, there would be no way for him to survive. He would definitely die here, because no one in the entire Demon Emperor Dragon Country would stand on his side. He quickly left the Demon Dragon Emperor City. After all, there was a Snow Devil King here. If he was caught, he would be dead. He had just arrived at the Demon Dragon Emperor City. He had wanted to see the customs of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country, but it seemed that was impossible now. Kong Shinmu continued on the official road, but he did not transform into a mystical dragon. Instead, he used his human form to find a beast carriage and quickly left the Demon Dragon Emperor City. This beast carriage was a single-horned dragon beast carriage. Its speed was relatively fast, and if one wanted to ride on it, the price would be quite high. Fortunately, Jiang Shenwu could afford it. The unicorn carriage moved forward at its fastest speed. There were many other dragon warriors on the carriage, but they did not speak to each other. They all closed their eyes and rested, thinking about something. Basically, as long as Kong Shinmu did not speak, no one would notice him. 7 days later, Kong Shinmu rode the unicorn carriage and arrived at a relatively large city in the Demon Emperor Dragon Country. He relaxed a little, thinking that the Snow Devil King would not catch up so quickly. He rested for a day, then continued on his way. He was about to run out of Demon Emperor coins and was about to leave this country. As long as he left, the Snow Devil King wouldn't be able to catch him. This city was a stronghold of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country, but it wasn't a stronghold at the border. It was still a distance away from the border, but it was a dangerous place. It was easy to defend but hard to attack. Basically, the Demon Emperor Dragon Country had been attacked by other countries many times, but they had managed to defend this stronghold. The enemy couldn't pass through this natural moat. Kong Shinmu only rested for a day before he left. Outside of this stronghold, the dragon warriors of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country rarely came. Only a few groups of miners would come. Demonic beasts also often appeared in this area. Outside the fortress was a vast desert. To the dragon warriors, passing through this vast desert was not a difficult task. As long as they passed through it, they would be within the boundaries of another country. During this period of time, Kong Shinmu basically didn't stop and had to travel alone. This was because no beast carriage was willing to take people to the real border of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country. There were too many demonic beasts nearby, and it was easy to encounter accidents. Basically, Kong Shinmu could only see some adventurous dragon warriors who were out to hunt demonic beasts. Naturally, Kong Shinmu wouldn't hunt demonic beasts. It was meaningless. He moved forward as fast as he could, and very quickly, he came to the edge of the desert. But at this moment, from the clouds behind him, many divine dragon bodies suddenly appeared. The divine dragon in the lead had a body that was both black and white, which was the same color as the Snow Devil King's cloak. They've caught up. Kong Shinmu's heart skipped a beat. Then, he saw the other party rushing straight towards him from the clouds. There were more than 10 powerful dragon warriors, and Kong Shinmu was no match for any of them. From the looks of it, the other party was flying straight towards him. Obviously, they were very sure that he was the person who killed the Snow Devil City's young master in the forest. Kong Shinmu knew that there was no other way. He had to fly out of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country's territory at full speed and find a place to hide. It would be best if he could hide and leave when the other party couldn't find him. However, it seemed that the situation was still very dangerous. It could be said that he didn't have much of a chance to escape. Go! Kong Shinmu didn't hesitate. Even if the chances were slim, he wouldn't sit and wait for death. He saw some stone forests in the desert in front of him. There were some stone pillars standing on this desert, so he turned into a dragon and flew in the direction of the stone forest. The speed of a dragon was much faster. Now that he had been discovered and caught by the other party, he could not reveal his identity as the Holy Dragon's blood essence. Very quickly, he took the lead and flew into the stone forest, concealing his figure. However, Jiang Xinwu guessed that the Snow Devil King and the others might have some kind of ability to track him, so it wouldn't be of much use for him to hide. Therefore, he kept moving forward in the stone forest without stopping. "Thief, don't go!" A series of shouts came from behind Kong Xinmu. It was obvious that the Snow Devil King and the others were getting closer and closer. As long as any one of them caught up, Kong Xinmu would be dead. Kong Xinmu even used the second-grade dragon martial technique of the extreme shadow flowing light to increase his flying speed. However, his speed really couldn't increase the distance between him and the dragon martial artists behind him whose cultivation was much higher than his. Soon, the other party actually split into several directions and surrounded Kong Xinmu from all directions. And right in front of Jiang Xinwu, the black and white Dragon King blood essence expert appeared in front of him. Shockingly, it was the Snow Devil King who had transformed into a dragon. "You killed this prince's son, and you want to leave just like that? You're too naive." The Snow Devil King's dragon eyes were full of coldness and killing intent. "No matter where you come from, you must die here today and accompany my son." He could see that Kong Xinmu was still very young. To be able to obtain the Holy Dragon's blood essence at such a young age, he was definitely a genius among the dragon martial artists. However, this place was still quite far from Donghuang Yonggu College. The Snow Devil King had never heard of a place like Donghuang Yonggu College, so he didn't think of going in this direction. Of course, this didn't affect anything. In any case, the Snow Devil King wanted Kong Xinmu's life. Moreover, the Snow Devil King's people were everywhere, so there was no way for Kong Xinmu to escape in this stone forest. Kong Xinmu's heart took a turn for the worse. He knew that his current situation was quite critical, and it could be said that there was basically no possibility of him escaping. Black Dragon's consciousness? This thing has been in a deep sleep after swallowing the Nirvana tribulation. There's no movement at all now, so I can't count on it. Is there any other way to escape? Kong Xinmu kept thinking, but in this situation, no matter how he thought, he couldn't think of any way to stop the other party from killing him. However, he still maintained his calm. Chapter 41-46. For the time being, Kong Xinmu did not know how the other party had caught up, so if he played dumb, he might have a last chance of survival. But unfortunately, the Snow Devil King was completely sure that the one who killed his son was Kong Xinmu, the Holy Dragon. The huge divine dragon body that the Snow Devil King had transformed into was like a mountain pressing down on Kong Xinmu. Together with the other dragon warriors, they surrounded Kong Xinmu. After hearing Kong Xinmu's words, the Snow Devil King sneered. "Little brat, you still want to deny it? From your body, I can already feel the despair of my son when he died, so you can't escape." Although he said so, Kong Xinmu still had some doubts. Since the other party was completely sure that he had killed the young master of the Snow Devil City, why did the Snow Devil King not kill him directly, but still talk nonsense with him? Kong Xinmu narrowed his eyes. Could it be that the Snow Devil King had some other ideas about him and didn't want to kill him for the time being, but wanted to capture him? This possibility still existed. After all, Kong Xinmu had now revealed the fact that he had the blood essence of a holy dragon. Therefore, his disheartened heart was rekindled again. It seemed that he was not fated to die today. Bring him back. With a command from the Snow Devil King, the other dragon martial artists made a move, wanting to capture him. But it was also at this moment that an icy snowflake descended from the sky, instantly freezing all the other dragon martial artists apart from the Snow Devil King. This sudden scene made Kong Xinmu's expression change slightly. What was going on? The reason why Kong Xinmu was surprised was that although the dragon warriors of the Snow Devil King who wanted to capture him were all frozen, nothing happened to him. The cold snowflakes falling from the sky were unknown. Could it be that they wanted to save Kong Xinmu? This opportunity could not be missed. Kong Xinmu did not hesitate. Even though the Snow Devil King had not been frozen, he still turned around and flew away. As expected, the Snow Devil King was enraged. He roared, "What kind of demonic beast is this? How dare you behave so atrociously in my Demon Emperor Dragon country? You must be tired of living." Immediately after, a huge creature emerged from one of the white clouds. When it appeared, it brought with it a terrifying power of ice and snow, enveloping the entire world. At first, the Snow Devil King wasn't affected much. But as time passed, even the Snow Devil King felt that the divine dragon essence blood in his bloodline seemed to be gradually freezing, causing his battle strength to continuously decrease. Snowbird. As Kong Shinmu flew away, he turned his head back to observe. He discovered that the huge creature was actually a huge bird with snow-white wings. It was an adult snowbird demonic beast. At this moment, it was using all its strength to stall the Snow Devil King, so that the Snow Devil King didn't have the strength to chase after Kong Shinmu. Could it be that back then, Kong Shinmu thought of the two young snowbirds that he had saved when he had killed the young master of the Snow Devil City in the dense forest? At that time, he hadn't thought about the consequences of saving those two snowbirds. But now, it seemed that his act of kindness had actually helped him. Now, the elder of the snowbird had obviously come to help Kong Shinmu escape. Of course, that huge snowbird might not be a match for the Snow Devil King. If the battle dragged on, this was the territory of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country, which was very disadvantageous to the snowbird. Therefore, Kong Shinmu knew that he had to hurry up and escape as quickly as possible. Otherwise, if he couldn't stall the snowbird, it was very likely that he would be captured. Kong Shinmu used the Extreme Shadow Flowing Light, a second-grade body-type dragon martial technique. The divine dragon essence blood in his body kept erupting, and his talent and nirvana force were used to the maximum at the same time. This allowed his divine dragon body to move forward rapidly. Before long, he had already disappeared from the Snow Devil King's sight. But even so, it was still not enough. Kong Shinmu had to leave the territory of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country in order to completely shake off the Snow Devil King's pursuit. So now, that huge snowbird was still in the sky, using its talent as a demonic beast to descend endless ice and snow. It didn't intend to kill the Snow Devil King, but only wanted to buy time so that Kong Shinmu could escape. The Snow Devil King's full strength exploded in an instant when he lost sight of Kong Shinmu. He definitely wouldn't allow the little bastard who had killed his son to escape from his sight. Snowbird? That's impressive. It seems that the little bastard saved your descendant. The Snow Devil King snorted coldly. He also knew that his son had gone to capture young snowbirds, but he didn't expect that he would never return. Now that the huge snowbird had appeared to help Kong Shinmu escape, he could vaguely guess the specific situation at that time. The Snow Devil King's talent exploded, and a terrifying snowstorm burst out of his body, rushing towards the snowbird in the sky. Both sides had the power of ice and snow, but the Snow Devil King's power had an additional demonic nature. This was the power of the divine dragon's blood essence that he had obtained, the power of the ice demon Snow King Dragon. His strength clearly surpassed that of the gigantic snowbird. However, the gigantic snowbird had made the first move, and had already suppressed most of his battle prowess. Thus, the Snow Devil King really couldn't do anything to this gigantic snowbird. Scram! The Snow Devil King was finally furious. He understood that with Kong Shinmu's speed, it was very likely that he wouldn't be able to catch up if he was delayed for a while longer. Once Kong Shinmu left the territory of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country and the Snow Devil King chased after him, it was very likely that the dragon martialists of other countries would think that it was an invasion. This would have a negative impact on the Demon Emperor Dragon Country, and if it wasn't handled well, it was very likely that it would start a war. This wasn't what the Snow Devil King wanted to see. So at this time, he actually took out an elixir that emitted endless cold air and crushed it in his hand. The terrifying cold air in this elixir immediately surged into the Snow Devil King's divine dragon body. In this way, the Snow Devil King's aura actually soared all of a sudden. The huge snowbird was shocked. It hadn't expected that the Snow Devil King would actually use such an elixir. This elixir was very expensive. Under normal circumstances, the Snow Devil King definitely wouldn't be willing to use it. But now, in order to avenge his son, he was actually willing to use it. Seeing this situation, the huge snowbird immediately flapped its wings and flew away, wanting to escape. However, the Snow Devil King snorted coldly and didn't chase after it. He knew that the purpose of using this elixir was to capture Kong Shinmu, so he had to capture Kong Shinmu. This huge snowbird was only secondary. If he captured Kong Shinmu, then it would be much easier to deal with this huge snowbird. After all, the demonic beast's habitat in the vicinity was only on this barren desert. Chapter 41-47. The aura of the Snow Devil King was hot on his heels. Kong Shinmu transformed into his divine dragon body and moved forward as fast as he could. He was getting more and more anxious. It was clear that the Snow Devil King's aura was much stronger than before. The other dragon warriors were still recovering from being frozen and had not caught up. Only the Snow Devil King, who had taken the cold chi pill, was chasing after him alone. Faster, faster. Kong Shinmu moved forward as fast as he could. Not far to his right was the dense forest with many demonic beasts. Of course, he did not dare to go there. If he encountered another powerful demonic beast, he would not be able to escape today. His only chance now was to leave the territory of the Demon Emperor Dragon Country and reach the territory of the next Dragon Emperor Country. That way, he would be able to restrain the Snow Devil King and prevent him from chasing him. But even if he managed to do that, the Snow Devil King would probably chase after him and kill him. After all, as long as the Snow Devil King caught up to him, he would be killed in the blink of an eye. The difference in strength between the two sides was too great. Kong Shinmu could not even take one move from the Snow Devil King. This was not a problem of the grade of the Divine Dragon Blood Essence. The key was the suppression in terms of cultivation level. It was too terrifying. However, just as Kong Shinmu was about to fly forward, a voice suddenly appeared in his mind. This voice suddenly told him to fly towards the dense forest on his right. It seemed that there would be a powerful existence protecting him. This made his heart tremble. He did not know where this voice came from. The black dragon consciousness in his body had not appeared for a long time, so it could not be the voice of the black dragon consciousness. Moreover, the black dragon consciousness had never warned him in this aspect. This made Kong Shinmu think of the giant snow bird that had just appeared in the sky. Could it be that? Kong Shinmu thought to himself. This was the only possibility. Apart from this, there was no one else who could have warned him or saved his life. Most importantly, that dense forest was in the direction of a powerful demon beast kingdom. Although it was independent of the demon beast kingdom, it was usually guarded by powerful demon beasts. Perhaps this place had resources that were very important to demon beasts. Even if all the kingdoms of the Dragon Emperor worked together, they would not be able to break into this forest. Otherwise, this dense forest would have long been occupied by the dragon martial artists. As Kong Shinmu thought of this, he saw that the Snow Devil King was getting closer and closer. He knew that if he didn't listen to the voice, there was a 99% chance that the Snow Devil King would catch up to him and kill him. So when he heard that sound, he turned towards the dense forest on the right without hesitation. His black dragon body flew straight over, and in an instant, the Snow Devil King who was chasing after him widened his eyes. Is this kid courting death? The Snow Devil King snorted coldly and hurriedly changed his direction to catch up. He knew that this dense forest was the habitat of the demon beasts. There might even be some secrets that the demon beasts valued very much. Even if a powerful dragon emperor came, he might not be able to break into it. He, the Snow Devil King, was only a dragon king. Although it was easy to kill Kong Shinmu, to let him break into this dense forest, he was still a little fearful. That's right. This kid is actually related to that giant snowbird. Maybe that giant snowbird is letting him step into this dense forest. The Snow Devil King gritted his teeth but did not hesitate at all. Instead, he directly chased in the direction that Kong Shinmu was heading. His speed was extremely fast. In mid-air, he was like a stream of light streaking across the sky. In the blink of an eye, he had flown dozens of miles. Unfortunately, halfway through, a snowstorm suddenly fell from the sky, crashing down on the Snow Devil King's path. This snowstorm was clearly released by the giant snowbird. It was specially used to stop the Snow Devil King from advancing. The terrifying snowstorm fell from the sky. Even the Snow Devil King, who had taken the elixir to increase his strength, had no choice but to stop. This snowstorm had stopped him from advancing. As the snowstorm fell, the surrounding temperature dropped. The Snow Devil King's entire body seemed to be covered in frost, causing him to slow down in an instant. However, he had no way to deal with the giant snowbird hidden in the sky. Thus, his emotions became extremely irritable. The Snow Devil King had originally wanted to catch up and kill Kong Shinmu as quickly as possible. However, by the time he had unleashed his strength and dealt with this snowstorm, he had already lost sight of Kong Shinmu. It was obvious that Kong Shinmu had already stepped into that dense forest. Where do you think you're going? The Snow Devil King did not give up. His eyes were filled with endless killing intent. His giant dragon body continued to sweep forward rapidly. Very soon, he was nearing the edge of the dense forest. However, at the same time, a giant snowbird appeared in the sky. It was faintly discernible in the clouds. Ice and snowstorms swept down continuously, hindering the Snow Devil King's movement. Most importantly, the closer the Snow Devil King got to this dense forest, the more he seemed to sense that there seemed to be some powerful and terrifying demon beast in this forest. That kind of aura, although still relatively far away, was already a threat to him. A kind of death crisis had actually locked onto the Snow Devil King from who knew how far away. Moreover, he had also sensed it. This made him break out in a cold sweat. Finally, he stopped in his tracks. This dense forest. Damn it! He had an extremely vexed feeling. If he had known earlier, he would have directly killed Kong Shinmu when he had intercepted him. Then, so many things would not have happened. Now it was too late for regret. The murderer who had killed his son had already escaped from his eyes. This was a possibility that he had never thought of before he had chased after him. There was actually a demon beast helping this kid. Otherwise, even if Kong Shinmu had 100 lives, he would still die in the hands of the Snow Devil King. However, it was a pity that he had missed it. Under the pressure of that terrifying and tyrannical aura, the Snow Devil King did not dare to chase after him. Finally, he reluctantly retreated. However, it was clear that he did not go far. He guessed that Kong Shinmu might not be able to stay in this dense forest for long. After all, this was the territory of the demon beasts. Perhaps the giant snowbird was just protecting him a little. Right now, he could no longer sense Kong Shinmu's position in the depths of the dense forest. However, he did not give up hope. He was prepared to wait for a while in the distance and hide. If Kong Shinmu appeared from the dense forest again, he would appear and directly kill Kong Shinmu. This possibility could not be said to be non-existent, but it was still relatively slim. However, the Snow Devil King could only think of this method now. He had a feeling that if he chased into the dense forest, he might die. Moreover, even if he chased after him, it would be extremely difficult for him to find Kong Shinmu in that kind of terrain. After the dense forest aura covered Kong Shinmu's aura, he could not accurately grasp Kong Shinmu's position. This was the key reason why he gave up on the chase. Moreover, there was still a giant snow bird eyeing him covetously. Chapter 41-48. As soon as Kong Shinmu entered the dense forest, he sensed that the Snow Devil King had stopped chasing him. He heaved a sigh of relief. However, he could see that the forest was full of monsters. Even other dragon martial artists did not dare to enter the forest. This forest was known as the Demon Shadow's Enchanting Forest. For the Demon Emperor Dragon Country, it was a forbidden area. Very few people would enter the Demon Shadow's Enchanting Forest because the dragon martial artists who entered had basically died in it. The Demon Shadow's Enchanting Forest was a relatively important place for monsters. Although no one knew what kind of secrets it had, even the Dragon Emperor experts did not dare to enter it easily. Kong Shinmu did not dare to go out for the time being. After all, if he went out now, he would definitely be caught by the Snow Devil King. However, he did not dare to move recklessly in case he got into trouble in this forest. Not long after, there was some movement in the bushes in front of him. Very quickly, 2 young snowbirds appeared in front of him. They flew out of the dense forest and circled around him while chirping. One was blue, and the other was white. The 2 snowbirds spread their wings and were very beautiful. If a girl saw them, she would definitely like them and want to keep them as pets. It really is the 2 young snowbirds that I saved before. Kong Shinmu heaved a sigh of relief. In this way, he could basically confirm that the elders of the 2 young snowbirds were helping him. Fortunately, when he found the 2 snowbirds, they were not dead yet and were protected by Kong Shinmu. To be honest, it was just a flash of inspiration. He did not expect that he would be able to save his life. Life was always so coincidental. The 2 young snowbirds flew around Kong Shinmu for a while, then stopped and flew in a certain direction. It seemed that they were guiding Kong Shinmu to follow them. Kong Shinmu was a little puzzled, but he did not think too much about it and directly followed them. The other party had just saved him, so he would not harm him. As for the giant snowbird, Kong Shinmu did not see any trace of it. However, he could imagine that it should be nearby to protect him. Otherwise, he would not be at ease to let 2 young snowbirds lead the way alone. Kong Shinmu followed him all the way and soon entered the depths of the demonic shadow maze. Of course, Kong Shinmu could feel that the other party was still taking a detour. There were too many spirit designs set up by the monsters in this demonic shadows maze. If he barged in recklessly, he might not even be able to keep his life. I wonder what kind of secret exists in this dense forest that the demonic beasts attach so much importance to. It was said that there were many powerful monsters in the demonic shadow maze that were comparable to the Dragon Emperor. As for what they were doing in the jungle, Kong Shinmu had no idea. He did not want to care about that now. He just wanted to leave as soon as possible and go to Donghuang Yonggu College. In the demonic shadow maze, it was quiet. Occasionally, the sounds of other monsters could be heard, embellishing the silence of the forest. Not long after, a few majestic monsters appeared in front of Kong Shinmu. They looked like a few giant bears. In the dense forest, their brown bodies blended in with the color of the forest. They were huge, but it was difficult to notice them. The two snowbirds did not notice them and suddenly bumped into them. Therefore, the giant bears turned around and were instantly enraged. They did not expect a human dragon martial artist to appear here. However, before they could let out any angry roars, a beautiful woman with a perfect figure appeared in front of Kong Shinmu and protected the two young snowbirds. At the same time she said, "This is the savior of my Arctic snow children. Move aside, I will bring him out of the demonic shadow maze." Arctic snow? Kong Shinmu listened from behind and realized that this beautiful woman in a snow-blue dress was actually the human form of the giant snowbird. Monsters like the heaven-opening devil dragon that had reached the peak could transform into human form. Without a doubt, this Arctic snow was also very strong, at least on par with the Snow Devil King. Now that she had transformed into human form, she was so beautiful that she was no different from an ordinary human. When she appeared in front of them, the giant bears did not dare to say anything and hurriedly moved aside. "You must be going to Donghuang Yonggu College, right? Follow me." The reason why our seniors have protected this demonic shadow maze is because of an ancient space-time formation. From this space-time formation, we can connect the entire space of the Dragon Martial Continent. North Pole Snow turned around and a smile appeared on her devastatingly beautiful face. And her words completely shocked Kong Shinmu. The ancient space-time formation could connect the entire Dragon Martial Continent? This was something that even the human dragon martial artists did not know about, and it was actually in the hands of the demonic beasts. This news could be said to be unbelievable. Obviously, if what Arctic Snow said was true, then Kong Shinmu could directly go to Donghuang Yonggu College. He would not have to go through so much trouble to get to Donghuang Yonggu College from here. And most importantly, it seemed that he could rely on this ancient space-time formation to quickly travel between Donghuang Yonggu College and the Demon Emperor Dragon Country. Within the Demon Emperor Dragon Country, he could still summon the heaven-opening Devil Dragon and have it bring him back, then quickly return to the Flame Dragon Emperor Empire. In other words, Kong Shinmu's previous plan could be realized. When undergoing the Nirvana Tribulation, he could completely return to the Flame Dragon Emperor Empire to undergo it. That way, he would not have to worry about the Nirvana Tribulation being devoured by the Black Dragon consciousness in his body. Of course, the problem was that the demonic beasts would definitely not allow him to use the ancient space-time formation without any restrictions. Moreover, although Arctic Snow was an expert among the demonic beasts and should have some say, in reality, he was not considered much among the demonic beasts of the entire Dragon Martial Continent. As for the ancient space-time formation, he should not have the authority to allow Kong Shinmu to pass through it every time. Moreover, he was a human, a dragon martial artist. This news had never been spread. If Kong Shinmu spread this news, it would also be a threat to the demonic beasts. For the sake of this ancient space-time formation, the human dragon martial artists might also unite to snatch it. In any case, he did not know how Arctic Snow would arrange this. These follow-up plans could wait until the situation became clear. In that case, many thanks, Senior. Kong Shinmu cupped his fists in gratitude. To him, Arctic Snow was a senior who had lived for God knows how long. Although he could command the heaven-opening Devil Dragon at will, even if Arctic Snow's strength was not as strong as the heaven-opening Devil Dragon, he did not dare to be too rash. He had only saved the life of the heaven-opening Devil Dragon. Kong Shinmu did not dare to treat it as a life-saving treasure. To be honest, a life for a life. Now that Arctic Snow had saved him from the Snow Devil King, they were even. "No need to thank me. You saved my children. 2 lives, so I will help you twice. The first time, I will save you from the Snow Devil King. The second time, I will help you get to Donghuang Yonggu College. From now on, you will have nothing to do with us. Chapter 41-49. Regarding Arctic Snow's words, Kong Xinmu also had a hunch. This meant that he would not be able to use this method to travel between Donghuang Yonggu College and the Demon Emperor Dragon Kingdom in the future. However, this was the only time he would be able to travel to Donghuang Yonggu College quickly, which was already very good. And at least he knew of the existence of the Ancient Time Portal. As for whether he could return through the Ancient Time Portal in the future, he would have to think of a way. I still have to thank you, Senior. Kong Xinmu said politely again, then continued to follow Arctic snow through the dense forest. Along the way, it seemed that Arctic snow had passed through all the important checkpoints. When he reached what seemed to be the center of the entire forest, he saw a magnificent scene hidden deep in the forest. It was an ancient time portal dotted with the colors of stars, like a door flashing with the colors of stars. Under the flowing light and shadow, it exuded a mysterious aura. Kong Xinmu was not worried that Arctic snow would frame him. She did not need to. If she wanted to force him to do something, she could just use her strength. There was no need to make up lies to deceive him. After arriving at this place, Kong Xinmu saw that there were many guards beside the ancient time portal. Among them, the 2 most conspicuous were 2 pitch-black hounds. These 2 hounds had 2 heads. They were actually 2-headed hound monsters. This was an existence with an extremely high bloodline. Its bloodline was equivalent to the blood essence of the holy dragon among the dragon warriors. Moreover, it could continue to grow after reaching adulthood. Kong Xinmu could feel that the strength of these 2 hounds was definitely not inferior to the Yen Dragon Emperor Dynasty's Yen Dragon Emperor Dynasty. In other words, within this dense forest, there were at least 2 Yen Dragon Emperor level experts guarding. And Kong Xinmu believed that this was not all the guards in this forest. There must be even more stronger guards hidden in the hidden places. Otherwise, there was no guarantee that they would be able to defend this ancient time portal. This kid is the savior of your children? One of the 2-headed hounds leaned lazily against the trunk of a tree. It opened its eyes slightly and looked at Kong Xinmu. Then it waved its paw and said, "He passed. Let him go." It seemed that the 2 double-headed hounds were in charge of the ancient space-time formation. Following their command, Kong Xinmu saw a few gorilla-like demonic beasts walk out from the vicinity of the ancient space-time formation and beckoned him to enter it. North Pole Snow smiled at Kong Xinmu. "Go on, from here you will reach the Azure Dragon Country. Donghuang Yonggu College is not far from there." "Yes." Kong Xinmu nodded and stepped forward. It seemed that because he was a dragon warrior, most of the demonic beasts in this forest were not very friendly with him. However, with North Pole Snow around, these demonic beasts did not dare to act rashly. Moreover, the 2 double-headed hounds had already let him pass. After that, he walked towards the ancient space-time formation. The gorilla-like demonic beasts began to control the ancient space-time formation, injecting some mysterious power into it. Immediately after, Kong Xinmu felt himself surrounded by starlight. Then, he felt the world spin around him, as if his entire body was being torn to pieces. However, his consciousness was still intact, and he could clearly feel that he was moving non-stop. He tried his best to stay awake, but soon he could not hold on. In the midst of the chaos, he lost consciousness and fainted. When he woke up again, he seemed to hear someone talking beside him. "Here is enough. Outside is the Azure Dragon Country. We have completed Senior North Pole Snow's task." A somewhat rough voice traveled over. It seemed to be a demonic beast. "That's right. Leave him here and let's go." His memories of the ancient space-time formation have already been erased by the Elder, so there's no need to worry. Another demonic beast's voice traveled over. Then, Kong Xinmu felt his body being thrown down heavily. After that, footsteps could be heard. It seemed that the 2 demonic beasts had left. Kong Xinmu's head was a little swollen, but he quickly regained his senses. According to what they said, his memory seemed to have been erased by a demonic beast elder, but he clearly remembered the ancient space-time formation. Could it be that the Black Dragon's consciousness made me immune to the demonic beast elder's memory erasure? Kong Xinmu could only think of this. With such a method, It was no wonder that North Pole snow would bring a dragon warrior like him to the ancient space-time formation. It turned out that there was a demonic beast elder who could erase his memories. But no matter what, he still remembered everything, and he had already arrived at the Azure Dragon country. He couldn't possibly leak the information about the ancient space-time formation in the demonic beast's territory. It wouldn't do him any good, so it was time for him to report to Donghuang Yonggu College. The Azure Dragon country is said to be the largest divine dragon country in the eastern part of the Dragon Martial continent. Just the Dragon Emperor level experts alone number in the double digits. Kong Shinmu was a little excited, but he didn't act immediately. Instead, he closed his eyes and rested, pretending to be unconscious. On one hand, he needed to prevent anyone from spying on him. On the other hand, he needed to recover his strength. After a while, a rustling sound finally came from behind him. "Let's go, he's still unconscious. There won't be any danger here." Only now did the demonic beast that brought him here truly leave. Previously, it had been keeping an eye on Jiang Shenwu just in case. Kong Shinmu's guess was right. After the two demonic beasts left, he finally stood up and looked around. He discovered that he was actually in a pile of rubble. There were countless boulders all around him, and the same was true behind him. Where did I get thrown out from? Kong Shinmu looked around and smiled bitterly. He had been hoping to return here and use the ancient space-time formation to return to the Demon Emperor Dragon Country. Now, it seemed that he couldn't even find the demonic beasts near this pile of rubble. Since that was the case, he could only give up on this idea for now. He raised his head and tried to determine the direction, but he had no idea where to go. Forget it. I'll just go in a random direction. This place should be very close to the Azure Dragon country. I'll just ask if I see anyone. Kong Shinmu thought to himself as he picked a random direction and started moving. This pile of rubble wasn't small, and he saw quite a few demonic beasts moving around. It seemed that this entire pile of rubble was a demonic beast gathering ground. However, this pile of rubble was only the periphery. He didn't know where the core of the gathering ground hid the ancient space-time formation. Some of the demonic beasts he encountered along the way were stronger than Kong Shinmu, but they didn't attack Kong Shinmu. Instead, they acted as if they didn't see him and let him pass by. Kong Shinmu knew that when he had been sent out, he had been marked with a demonic beast's mark, so the demonic beasts along the way wouldn't attack him. Chapter 4150. With the aura of the Dragon Warriors, Kong Shinmu heaved a sigh of relief. This meant that he was about to leave the area where the demonic beasts gathered. Very quickly, he continued to move forward. Sure enough, he saw 4 young dragon warriors hunting some demonic beasts in the rubble. These 4 young dragon warriors had all transformed into the form of a divine dragon. Each of them was impressively a heavenly dragon-level divine dragon blood essence inheritor. Furthermore, they had all reached at least the 5th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. In the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, this realm was at least 30 or 40 years old. However, judging from the aura of the 4 young dragon warriors in front of him, Kong Shinmu felt that they were not even 30 years old. They were absolute geniuses. If they were in the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, they would definitely be geniuses that would shock the entire Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. Even the geniuses of the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty that Kong Shinmu had met in the past could not be considered geniuses at all. The 5th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm had the 5th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Right now, Kong Shinmu was only at the 1st level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. However, even if he was at the 1st level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, he should be able to deal with the 4 young dragon warriors working together. One must know that his Nirvana Tribulation realm had evolved from the devouring power, which was equivalent to increasing his devouring power by more than 10 times. Originally, when he was at the peak of the divine martial realm, he was already able to fight against the 4th or even the 5th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Now, there was no need to say anything more. After his devouring power had increased by 10 times, his strength had become extremely terrifying. Right now, all he lacked was the corresponding dragon martial skill. Of course, the dragon martial skill he needed was at least a grade 1 dragon martial skill, which was the origin dragon martial skill. Those were methods created by the origin divine dragon, and there were very few of them in the human realm. However, very quickly, as he observed the battle between the opponents and the demonic beasts, Kong Shinmu became serious. He discovered that although the 4 young dragon warriors in front of him were at the 5th and 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, They all had unique skills. Almost every one of them had a dragon-level dragon weapon. The most important thing was that each of them had actually grasped a few Grade 2 dragon martial skills. They were just short of learning the Source Dragon martial skill. In fact, they had yet to display the Origin Dragon martial skill. As for whether they had cultivated it or not, who knew? There were 2 men and 2 women, a total of 4 youths. If any one of them were to be placed in the Jiang tribal clan, they would be strong enough to be the patriarch. Even if all the elders of the Jiang tribal clan joined forces, they would not be a match for any one of them. Right now, Kong Shinmu was indeed very strong, but he was not sure if the 4 young dragon warriors had already used their full strength. If they were still hiding something, Kong Shinmu might not be their match even if they joined forces. Of course, after Kong Shinmu reached the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, he had yet to truly test his combat limits, so he was not particularly clear about what realm of opponent he could deal with. Another advantage he had was that he was the inheritor of the blood essence of a holy dragon. Compared to the 4 young dragon warriors in front of him, he had a natural advantage. Not long after, the 4 young dragon warriors killed their respective demon beasts. Then, the imposing Thunder Divine Dragon returned to human form and looked in the direction of Kong Shinmu. "Who are you?" The other party's voice was very calm and had a convincing tone. He did not make things difficult for Kong Shinmu, mainly because he looked down on a kid who had just stepped into the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, so he only asked a question. "Everyone, I would like to ask, where is the Azure Dragon Kingdom? And which direction is Donghuang Yonggu College?" Kong Shinmu naturally only wanted to ask for directions. He would not actually fight with the other party. Seeing such talented young dragon warriors in a place like this gave him a certain understanding of the overall strength of the Azure Dragon Kingdom. In a place like the Azure Dragon Kingdom, one would not even know how they died if they provoked others. The overall strength of this place was too strong. The average strength of each dragon warrior was a lot stronger than that of the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. Kong Shinmu could not do whatever he wanted in the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, let alone in the Azure Dragon Kingdom. When the other party heard his question, they were stunned for a moment before they all burst into laughter. The Azure Dragon Kingdom? This place belongs to the Azure Dragon Kingdom. As for Donghuang Yonggu College, why are you asking about that place? Do you think you have the right to go there? One of the young girls chuckled, her eyes filled with disdain. In her opinion, Jiang Xinwu had suddenly appeared beside her and watched her kill the demonic beasts. Perhaps he was a wandering dragon cultivator from some unknown place. To think that he would ask for directions in the Azure Dragon Nation. This was too ridiculous. Moreover, Donghuang Yonggu College was a place that even the 4 of them yearned for. Unfortunately, they did not have the qualifications to go there. "This I was just asking. It was not easy to come to the Azure Dragon Kingdom, so I wanted to see the legendary Donghuang Yonggu College." Kong Shinmu smiled embarrassedly, but he did not tell the truth. He discovered that after he reached the first level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm, the aura of the holy dragon blood on his body had actually been restrained. Unless one's strength was much higher than his, they would not be able to tell what level his divine dragon inheritance blood was. Since the other party did not know, Kong Shinmu could not be bothered to say more to avoid any misunderstandings. "We are dragon warrior students from Qingcang Tianlong Court. If you want to go to Donghuang Yonggu College, then follow us. We are about to go back," the calm and valiant youth said to Kong Shinmu, then turned around to leave. "Kid, follow us closely. Qingcang Tianlong Court is not far from Donghuang Yonggu College. If you can follow us, you will be able to see Donghuang Yonggu College." Another skinny and lively youth smiled at Kong Shinmu, then immediately transformed into a dragon and flew up. It seemed that they had only come here to kill some specific monsters. Now that they had completed their task, they wanted to go back. Qingcang Tianlong Court? Kong Shinmu listened to the name. It seemed to be a dragon warrior academy, similar to Donghuang Yonggu College. However, it should belong to the Azure Dragon Kingdom itself. The entry requirements were not as harsh as Donghuang Yonggu College. The students trained there should be the elites of the entire Azure Dragon Kingdom. This was something that Kong Shinmu could accept. Since these 4 young dragon warriors were the elites of the Azure Dragon Kingdom, it was natural for them to have such talent. Chapter 41-51. However, Kong Shinmu didn't bother with the other party. For him, it was good enough that the other party was willing to lead the way. After all, they were just strangers who met by chance. He felt embarrassed to ask the other party to stop and wait for him. Since the other party flew away directly, he didn't stand on ceremony. He turned into a black dragon and flew in the direction of the other party. To his surprise, he discovered that he could now control the size of his dragon form. It seemed to be due to the black dragon's will that allowed him to easily conceal his true size. This way, others really wouldn't be able to tell from his appearance that he was a holy dragon's legacy blood essence. He disguised himself as a heavenly dragon-level inheritance blood essence. His body was more than 100 feet long, nearly 3 times smaller than his actual size. If he fully unfolded his body, it would be 1,000 feet long divine dragon body. At a glance, it was obvious that he was a divine dragon-level inheritance blood essence. At this moment, he turned into a black dragon and followed the other party. He used the dragon martial technique, dragon shadow, to steadily keep up with the other party. Now, not only could his strength keep up with a 5th-level Nirvana Tribulation Realm dragon martial artist, he also wouldn't fall behind in other aspects, including speed. Soon, the other 2 men and 2 women were a little surprised. They were curious that Kong Shinmu actually had the ability to catch up. This made them feel a little embarrassed. After all, they felt that Kong Shinmu was only at the 1st level of Nirvana Tribulation Realm. They couldn't even get rid of someone of this level? Originally, they all slowed down a little. Of course, it was not to let Kong Shinmu keep up, but to see Kong Shinmu's flustered and exasperated look. But now, they began to speed up and quickly flew forward. Kong Shinmu, on the other hand, was calm and composed. He followed in the form of a black divine dragon. No matter how fast the other party accelerated, he could always keep up. It was simply driving the other 4 crazy. It wasn't until Kong Shinmu had been following them for an hour that they finally admitted that they couldn't get rid of this kid with their speed. It seemed that this kid had some ability. We're almost at the Sky Dragon Court. After flying together for about 6 hours, when the sky gradually darkened, the leader of the other party, the calm young man, finally explained to Zhang Shenwu. Then, Kong Shinmu saw a floating palace in the mountains in front of him. The palace was faintly discernible in the clouds above the mountains. It looked like a land of immortals. He could clearly feel that there were divine dragons flying in it. There were even existences that surpassed the level of Yen Dragon Emperor. There was a faint oppressive aura coming from it. Is that the Qingcang Tianlong Court? Kong Shinmu glanced at it and found that the Sky Dragon Court was extremely vast. Added together, it was 100 times larger than the Jiang clan's Great Jiang Dragon City. It almost covered the mountains in front of him. As far as the eye could see, it was the Divine Dragon Palace. However, at this time, Kong Shinmu was a little hesitant. It seemed that it was not suitable for him to enter this place. After all, he would soon become a student of Donghuang Yangwu College. So he asked the other party, "Everyone, may I ask where is Donghuang Yangwu College? I will go there tonight to see it." Obviously, he saw Tianlong Court in front of him. However, that magnificent scene didn't scare him at all. It didn't even make him stop in his tracks. This made the 4 of them feel a little defeated, but then they felt a little angry. Originally, they didn't want to bring Kong Shinmu. It was just that Kong Shinmu said that he wanted to see Donghuang Yangwu College. So they brought him along. In the end, Kong Shinmu didn't care about the Sky Dragon Court at all. "It's nearby. Go find it yourself." A girl was very dissatisfied with Kong Shinmu's attitude. He actually showed such disregard for the Sky Dragon Court. It was simply a disgrace to them. "I'm afraid that you won't even be able to see the gate of Donghuang Yangwu College before you get kicked out." Another girl also sneered and snorted. However, the calm young man seemed to feel that this wasn't good, or he was unwilling. After all, he was also proud to be a student of Sky Dragon Court. Kong Shinmu looked down on Sky Dragon Court, but he insisted on letting Kong Shinmu go in and have a look. "It's already late tonight. Why don't little brother rest in our Sky Dragon Court for the night?" The calm young man said politely. In fact, in his heart, he was thinking that as long as Zhang Shenwu was willing to stay, then he would let them bully him for the rest of the night. He must find a way to keep Zhang Shenwu in Qingcang Tianlong Court. As for Kong Shinmu, seeing that the other party refused to reveal the location of Donghuang Yangwu College, he also felt a little troubled. If he knew this would happen, he would have exclaimed in admiration and praised Sky Dragon Court. Now, it seems that he had touched the other party's pride. From Kong Shinmu's understanding, Sky Dragon Court was an organization established by Qingtsong Dragon Country in imitation of Donghuang Yonggu College. In terms of quality, it was certainly far worse than Donghuang Yonggu College. However, it was still the elite of Qingtsong Dragon Country. The other party must have some awe and envy towards Donghuang Yonggu College, and even jealousy. In that case, he would stay here for the night and then continue his journey tomorrow. Anyway, it was hard to see the direction at night. Tonight, there was still a thin layer of fog in the air. If he hurried, he was afraid that he wouldn't know where he would end up. All right. Thus, Kong Shinmu agreed to temporarily stay in Sky Dragon Court for the night. This result made the calm young man quite satisfied. He smiled and nodded, then said to Kong Shinmu, "All right, my name is Bai Lianyu. If you have any problems here, you can use my name. It will work under normal circumstances." "Thank you." Since the other party was polite to him, Kong Shinmu would naturally be polite to the other party. However, he noticed that Bai Lianyu's words contained the word ordinary, which meant that this person wasn't someone who could cover the sky with one hand in Sky Dragon Court. In fact, he wasn't even considered as a strong character. If Kong Shinmu really encountered something, it might not necessarily be useful to look for him. Of course, it was just a temporary stay anyway. There shouldn't be any problems. As Kong Shinmu thought to himself, he followed the other party and flew into the range of Sky Dragon Court. This Qingtsong Heavenly Dragon Court didn't have many guards, but there was an array formation. With Bai Lianyu and the others leading the way, Jiang Shenwu was able to easily pass through the array formation. Then, he discovered that the heaven and earth spirit energy in this Qingtsong Heavenly Dragon Court was too dense, even surpassing the Fire Dragon Empire's imperial city. If one were to cultivate here, even an ordinary dragon martial artist's speed of improvement would be several times faster. Chapter 41-52. The other party brought Kong Shinmu to a palace and explained the situation to the person guarding the palace. Then, the other party brought Kong Shinmu to a room in the palace and arranged for him to stay. If it was just a small place, Kong Shinmu might not agree to stay with the other party. However, Qingtsong Tianlong Court was such a big place, the other party wouldn't do something like murder, right? As Kong Shinmu rested in the room, Bai Lianyu and the others naturally left. From Bai Lianyu's body, Kong Shinmu couldn't see any hostility. The other two girls seemed to have a big opinion of him, but it was obvious that Bai Lianyu was the leader of this small group. Since Bai Lianyu made his decision, the others didn't say anything. After rushing for so many days, from the time he broke through to the Nirvana realm in the Demon Emperor Dragon Country to when he was chased and saved by the Arctic snow, Kong Shinmu hadn't rested much. He hoped that he could have a good sleep tonight. Bai Lianyu's identity seemed to be a relatively high-ranking student in Qingtsong Tianlong Court, so he was arranged a room with a good environment. One could even say that this was a courtyard, one of the thousands of courtyards in this guest hall. Kong Shinmu guessed that this place should be used to entertain guests. He rested, closed his eyes, and began to consolidate his cultivation. In the middle of the night, Kong Shinmu suddenly heard a noise coming from outside the door. He couldn't help but frown. The noise was obviously coming towards the courtyard he was staying in. Fortunately, he maintained a trace of vigilance while resting, so he was able to notice this subtle noise. Is it Bai Lianyu and the others who want to make a move? Kong Shinmu frowned, feeling that it was somewhat impossible. Just because he wanted to take a look at Donghuang Yonggu College, the other party wouldn't leave him here, right? Such a person was too narrow-minded. Because of this, Kong Shinmu agreed to stay here for a night. However, he didn't expect the other party to be such a narrow-minded person. Without batting an eyelid, Kong Shinmu quietly walked to the window and looked outside. He couldn't help but stare blankly. The person who came to his courtyard wasn't the black-clothed masked man he had imagined, but a charming young girl. The girl's clothes were half exposed. She seemed to be vigilant of the presence of other people in the surroundings. Then, she slowly approached the room where Kong Shinmu was. This seems to be someone who has just stepped into the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Kong Shinmu thought in his heart. He was slightly puzzled. Why would such a young girl come to his courtyard in the middle of the night? Could it be? Just as he thought of a possibility, the girl had already arrived in front of his door, directly opened it and barged in. She seemed a little nervous, but when she saw Kong Shinmu leaning against the bed, she was a little surprised. You found me? Who are you? What are you doing here? Kong Shinmu asked vigilantly, paying attention to the surrounding situation. I am Yang Yuewu. Let me hide for a while. Thank you. She seemed to be a little nervous and quickly explained as if someone was chasing after her. Kong Shinmu frowned and didn't know how to answer. His intuition told him that there might be some kind of conspiracy here. However, to deal with a Nirvana Tribulation Realm first stage like him, Qingcang Tianlong Court shouldn't play any tricks, right? In any case, he was ready to leave this place and go to the courtyard. Up to you. After Kong Shinmu finished his sentence, he planned to leave the room to prove his innocence. However, at this moment, the courtyard outside suddenly emitted a bright light. A few figures jumped in from the outside. They were 5 young dragon warriors with decent strength. And Kong Shinmu frowned and noticed that something was wrong. However, the other party didn't intend to give him a chance. They violently barged into the room and pushed the door open. When they saw Kong Shinmu and Yang Yuewu in the same room, their expressions suddenly became extremely cold. Who are you? One of them asked Kong Shinmu coldly. Kong Shinmu observed for a moment and found that these 5 young men were at the 4th stage of Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Obviously, this wasn't a coincidence but premeditated. At this time, Yang Yuewu's behavior made Kong Shinmu even more certain of this point. The girl suddenly turned pitiful and begged the group of young men for help. Senior brothers, please save me. This person wants to molest me. He almost succeeded just now. And how dare you molest a student of Qingcang Tianlong Court? You must be tired of living. Arrest him. The young man in the lead did not even think about it and directly prepared to attack Jiang Shunwu. At this time, Kong Shinmu noticed that the girl, Yang Yuewu, gave him a disdainful smile and immediately hid behind the 5 young men. At this moment, how could Kong Shinmu not see that this was a conspiracy against him? The leading young man in black roared. The others wanted to take action. Kong Shinmu naturally wouldn't allow himself to be captured. However, firstly, he couldn't transform into a dragon and fight in the room. Secondly, this was someone else's territory. Fighting rashly wouldn't bring him any benefits. Therefore, when the other party rushed over, Kong Shinmu quickly jumped out of the window and wanted to leave the courtyard. In fact, Kong Shinmu wanted to leave Qingcang Tianlong Court and find Donghuang Yongwu College as soon as possible. That way, these guys wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Otherwise, they would keep chasing after him. However, just as he jumped out of the courtyard, he found that the commotion here had attracted a lot of people. Some of the guests of Qingcang Tianlong Court in the nearby courtyards poked their heads out and observed the situation. Even the guards of Qingcang Tianlong Court's guest hall were rushing over. Kong Shinmu found himself surrounded. Wanting to escape from here was simply impossible. He looked around but didn't see Bai Lianyu, as if this matter had nothing to do with him. However, he knew very well that Bai Lianyu didn't appear just to avoid danger. After all, he was a guest brought by Bai Lianyu. If he took the initiative to target him, it wouldn't be good if word got out. Most likely, Bai Lianyu entrusted someone else to capture him. As for their purpose, Kong Shinmu felt that it was just to teach him a lesson. It was impossible to silence him. After all, Qingcang Tianlong Court wasn't a gathering place for bandits. This was a formal organization of the Qingcang Dragon Country with strict rules. Not to mention, he was still a guest, who came to Qingcang Tianlong Court. In next to no time, Jiang Shunwu was surrounded by many people. Amongst them was the young girl called Yang Yuewu, the 5 young men that had charged in first, and besides them, there were 2 guards of the guest hall. The strength of these 2 guards far exceeded the Rebirth Tribulation Realm, and they might even have attained a higher level, so Jiang Shunwu was absolutely not a match for them. What is your identity? The leading young man in black shouted at Kong Shinmu. A guard next to him replied, "It's a guest brought back by Bai Lianyu. If I'm not mistaken, his name is Kong Shinmu." A guest brought back by Bai Lianyu? Daring to molest our student Yang Yuewu in our Qingcang Tianlong Court, he must have eaten a bear's heart and leopard's gall. Chapter 41-53. There wasn't much content left in the Heaven-Swallowing Chronicles. The day after tomorrow, on January 8th, the lunatic would release a new book. Normally, I would start preparing for a new book when there was only a quarter of the previous book's content left. My personality is one that doesn't want to stop, because I'm afraid that I'll get lazy if I stop. Therefore, every time I release a new book, I'll start before the previous book ends. You don't have to worry about the issue of updating the two books, because I have a small amount of saved manuscripts, and I've already adjusted them to the best state. I've been preparing for the new book for more than half a year. Currently, because I'm writing two books, I don't have many manuscripts saved. However, since the new book has been released, it's basically no problem for me to update it. I've already adjusted for a long time, and I'm ready to enter the initial state of writing. This is the state I was in when I was writing the Dragon Blood God of War, maintaining a stable, high-speed, high-quality writing, and updating. The new book is a continuation of the story of the dragon. In the past, I wrote about the bloodline inheritance, but now I'm writing about the spirit and will of the dragon, faith, and totem. It's a brand new story, and it has a certain connection to the old book, the Dragon Blood God of War. The characters in the old book will appear in the new book. Of course, the most important thing is the brand new story and journey. In our culture, the dragon is ancient and profound, and it's the core of our nation's culture. I want to spread the story of the dragon, pass on the dragon's spirit and civilization, and let our young people, the next generation, have a greater sense of identity with our own culture. Therefore, after a book, I'm writing about the dragon again. I'll take the unfinished and unfinished parts of the book, and use a more meticulous and complicated setting to create a better work. The Heaven-Swallowing Chronicles is the Xianxia in my heart. Next, I'll return to the fantasy world. Next, I'll return to the lunatic world. After the Heaven-Swallowing Chronicles, I can finally make an excited announcement. Chapter 4154. Follow Frenzied's WeChat account, Feng Qingyang, and reply to him to get a link to his new book. Reply to the WeChat group to get a way to join the WeChat group. Red Packet Event. New book. Holy Dragon Totem. Chapter 4157. Kong Xinmu coldly looked at these people, acting in front of him. He felt a little contempt for this Qing Tsong Tianlong court. He didn't think that the students of this Qing Tsong Tianlong court were actually such people. He thought that he didn't provoke by Lian Yu's group that led him here, but that group seemed to want to deal with him for fun. They specifically called the black-clothed youth and Yang Yuewu in front of him to set up a trap for Kong Xinmu. After listening to the other party's words, Kong Xinmu laughed out loud. What a joke. You guys are lying with your eyes wide open. Why don't you prepare a draft first? At this time, the two powerful guards of the guest hall had already approached. Although there were only two of them, their imposing aura surrounded everyone in the field, making it impossible for them to escape. With a serious expression, they looked at Kong Xinmu's direction, as well as Yang Yuewu and the black-clothed youth. Obviously, they knew the black-clothed youth and Yang Yuewu. At this moment, their expressions towards Kong Xinmu became somewhat unfriendly. Molesting their students in Qing Tsong Tianlong court. Wasn't this too outrageous? Moreover, it was a guest they brought back. However, Kong Xinmu was still keenly aware that the two strongest guards here were not on the same side as Yang Yuewu's group. They should be more impartial. In that case, as long as he can win their trust, there won't be any problems this time. Thus, he explained in a deep voice, Bai Lianyu arranged this residence for me, and the environment is not bad. However, you guys said that I molested Yang Yuewu in my own guest room, which is really inconceivable. Could it be that she sent herself to my door and let me molest her? These words made the two guards feel a bit strange. They didn't see Yang Yuewu enter the guest hall, but Yang Yuewu did appear in Kong Xinmu's room. This was a fact. Logically speaking, even if Kong Xinmu wanted to molest someone, he wouldn't have the ability to bring the other party back to his room, right? The place where the incident happened was in the guest hall, the place where Kong Xinmu was arranged to stay. This was a bit suspicious. However, the girl, Yang Yuewu at this time, burst into tears and explained, I don't know. When I woke up, I found myself in this strange place. I have never been to the guest hall before. He must have kidnapped me outside and brought me back when no one was paying attention. This explanation was somewhat reasonable. However, it was impossible for Jiang Xinwu to casually bring someone into the guest room of Sky Dragon Court. After all, This kid was only at the first level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. No matter what, come with us to the law enforcement hall first. Let the elders decide. The black-clothed youth glanced at Yang Yuewu. After he finished speaking, he went to Yang Yuewu's side and covered her with his clothes. Yang Yuewu's face was filled with warmth, but when she looked at Kong Shinmu of her, Tian Yun of him. By now, how could Kong Shinmu not know that this was a trap? Qing Tsong Tian Long Court was such a big organization. It was impossible for him to escape. However, no matter what, he was determined to never admit to molesting Yang Yuewu. How could he admit to something he didn't do? I didn't expect to encounter such a strange thing before heading to Donghuang Yonggu College. Kong Shinmu coldly looked at Yang Yuewu and the black-clothed youth. Hearing how Yang Yuewu addressed him, Kong Shinmu already knew that the black-clothed youth was called Jing Yifeng. He was a young genius at the 7th level of Nirvana Tribulation realm. In the entire Qing Tsong Tianlong court, he was one of the best among the younger generation. Bai Lianyu wasn't weak, but he was still weaker than Jing Yifeng. Come with us to the law enforcement hall. I hope you won't deny it. The black-clothed youth, Jing Yifeng, said coldly to Kong Shinmu. Then, he waved his hand and ordered 2 guards to bring Kong Shinmu to the law enforcement hall. It was obvious that the 2 guards did not want to get involved in this matter. Although they felt that it was a little strange, and although they were stronger than Jing Yifeng, they didn't dare to offend such a talented future powerhouse. Therefore, since Jing Yifeng said so, they came forward and prepared to take Kong Shinmu away. Where is the law enforcement hall? I can walk by myself. Kong Shinmu knew that he was in trouble this time. The main reason was that he didn't expect Bai Lianyu and the others to harm him. Therefore, he didn't take any precautions. He was just asking for directions, but the other party set up such a trap. Weren't they too narrow-minded? In any case, this time, Kong Shinmu knew that he wouldn't be able to get away with it. Now, the only thing that could compete with the entire Sky Dragon Court was the East Emperor seal on his wrist. This was the seal that the Flame Dragon's Sacred Tower left for him, indicating that he was qualified to join Donghuang Yonggu College. But now, there was no one from Donghuang Yonggu College around, so he could only bear with it. Otherwise, once the other party found out about his potential and identity, he might be strangled in the cradle. Then, the loss would outweigh the gain. Therefore, not only could he not reveal that he had the East Emperor seal, but he also had to try his best to hide himself. Unless he could confirm that there was a senior from Donghuang Yonggu College nearby, only then could he be saved. This Tianzong Tianlong court was like a cage, strangling him to death. Kong Shinmu's eyes became cold. Next, he would have to see what Bai Lianyu and the others wanted to do. He could only watch from the sidelines. Resistance was impossible. Fortunately, the other party didn't want to put him to death. Otherwise, there was no need to set up such a trap just to deal with a foreign wandering dragon warrior. Most likely, they just want to vent their anger. Kong Shinmu's expression became colder and colder. He didn't expect Bai Lianyu and the others to be so narrow-minded. At this moment, he could only remember everything that he had experienced so far. Following that, Kong Shinmu didn't resist at all. When he arrived at the law enforcement hall, Bai Lianyu and the others came right after. However, this person still behaved gracefully, pretending to know nothing and even pretended to plead for Kong Shinmu. However, Kong Shinmu could see that in Bai Lianyu's eyes, there was a hidden pleasure. It seemed that he was very excited because he framed Kong Shinmu. Just because I asked for the direction of Donghuang Yonggu College? The more Jiang Shenwu thought about it, the more he felt that these people from Tianlong Court were unreasonable. However, it was impossible for him to say anything right now. In any case, whatever he said would be wrong and wouldn't help the situation. In the law enforcement hall, a senior mentor from Sky Dragon Court decided to imprison Kong Shinmu in the Sin Keeper Tower for a year, saying that this was the lightest punishment for trying to molest Yang Yuewu. Bai Lianyu also pleaded for Kong Shinmu, and in the end, the time was reduced to half a year. When all of this happened, Kong Shinmu didn't say a single word because he knew that since the other party had already set up a trap, it was impossible to give him a chance to struggle. Sin Keeper Tower. Half a year. Kong Shinmu could only let the other party take him away and imprison him in the dark Sin Keeper Tower. This was the place in Sky Dragon Court to deal with students who committed mistakes. Of course, if there were any people who harmed Sky Dragon Court, they would also be imprisoned here. Of course, Kong Xinmu was wrongly accused, but he firmly remembered those three names. Bai Lianyu, Jing Yifeng, Yang Yuewu. Chapter 4158. During the 6 months in the Sin Guarding Tower, Kong Xinmu had a hard time. However, he was very patient. If it was someone else, they would have already displayed the East Emperor seal on their wrist to show their identity as a student of Donghuang Yonggu College. However, he was keenly aware that this Sky Dragon Court was not as simple as it seemed. Previously, he had only slightly revealed that he wanted to go to Donghuang Yonggu College and provoked by Lianyu and the others to frame him. If they really knew his identity, wouldn't he suffer more serious persecution? He was only imprisoned for half a year, so his life would not be in danger. However, once he displayed the East Emperor seal, his life might even be threatened. In this 6 months, it was impossible for Kong Xinmu to cultivate. There was basically no improvement in his realm. However, he still secretly cultivated the dragon martial skills that he had learned, including the Origin Source Dragon martial skill, Void Dragon Sky Raising Break. Although there was no breakthrough, Kong Xinmu had consolidated these dragon martial skills. The power that he could exert was 10 to 20% more than before. This could be considered a good result. Originally, he could rely on the Holy Dragon's Blood Essence to compete with the 5th or even 6th level Nirvana Realm Heavenly Dragon's Blood Essence inheritors. But now, he basically wouldn't lose to the 6th level Heavenly Dragon's Blood Essence inheritors. Although he had been imprisoned for half a year and had lost his freedom for half a year, in this half a year, he was still able to calm his heart and consolidate all the dragon martial skills that he had cultivated in the past. This way, he would be able to use the dragon martial skills more easily. Moreover, his Nirvana force had also been enhanced during this period. Although it was far from breaking through to the 2nd level of Nirvana realm, it was still an improvement. After waiting for half a year, he finally came out of the Sin Guarding Tower. The guards of the Sin Guarding Tower directly let him go and banished him. They even said that he would not be allowed to take half a step closer to Sky Dragon Court. Kong Xinmu, of course, didn't want to come to this place again. However, he secretly sneered. When he comes here again, it will be the doomsday of the entire Tianlong court. At the very least, by Lianyu, Jing Yifeng, and Yang Yuewu, he must make them pay the price. Those who harmed others would be destroyed by the heavens. Jiang Xinwu did not want to get into any trouble, but these 3 people had gone too far. They had imprisoned him for half a year because of a disagreement. This could be said to be a deep hatred. Kong Xinmu would probably be able to reach the 2nd level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm in half a year's time. But now, even if this half a year's time wasn't wasted, the utilization rate wasn't high either. Let's head to Donghuang Yonggu College first. Kong Xinmu's expression was dark. Luckily, he was in the Sin Guarding Tower and didn't suffer any harsh punishment. He was only locked up for half a year. This was good news for him. As for Bai Lianyu pleading for him to be imprisoned for half a year, that was naturally hypocritical. One could clearly see the disdain and excitement in his eyes. Thinking of the situation at that time, Kong Xinmu clenched his fists. He was still too naive. One must always be on guard against others. From now on, he mustn't be careless when he encounters anyone. There was no need to follow the other party to the other party's territory to prevent himself from being harmed. Fortunately, he was still alive this time. During this time, the Black Dragon's consciousness basically didn't appear. Obviously, he didn't encounter any fatal danger. It was impossible for the Black Dragon's consciousness to come out to help him. He could only rely on himself. Donghuang Yonggu College. Kong Xinmu came out from the Sin Guarding Tower of Sky Dragon Court and found a city. After asking around, he found the direction of Donghuang Yonggu College. After flying for 3 days and 3 nights, he finally saw a magnificent building in the clouds. It was Donghuang Yonggu College. Countless buildings in the clouds formed the shape of a divine dragon. From the dragon's head to the dragon's tail, it spanned thousands of miles. It was as if a dragon king was overlooking the world. This was the first time Kong Xinmu came here, and he was completely shocked by this scene. As expected of one of the 4 strongest colleges in the entire Dragon Martial Continent, Donghuang Yonggu College. In this college, every student is able to pass the 5th floor of the Saint Tower. All of them are geniuses. Kong Shinmu couldn't help but feel excited. Originally, he should have come here half a year ago. But because of a moment of carelessness, he fell into a trap and was trapped for half a year. Now that he finally arrived in front of Donghuang Yanggu College, he felt high-spirited. Around him, there would occasionally be some heavenly dragon-level dragon warriors heading towards Donghuang Yanggu College. However, they did not go to the college building in the sky. Instead, they went to the Donghuang Yanggu College on the ground. This Donghuang Yanggu College was the place where Donghuang Yanggu College communicated with the outside world. Generally speaking, no one could enter the Donghuang Yanggu College alone. Even students who were qualified to join Donghuang Yanggu College had to report in the Donghuang Yanggu College for the first time and be escorted by the college's seniors. In the Donghuang Yanggu College, there were many powerful dragon warriors from the surrounding sacred dragon country. They opened shops and sold some items. It could be said that this was the closest trading market to Donghuang Yanggu College. Even the largest trading market in the Azure Dragon country could not compare to the scale of the Donghuang Yanggu College. This was because those who appeared in the Donghuang Yanggu College were all top-notch dragon warriors in the continent. Any random student from Donghuang Yanggu College could cause a huge commotion in the Azure Dragon country. If they were to start a massacre, it would be a reign of terror. Of course, such a huge city would have everything in its trading market. Even the origin source dragon martial skills would appear in the Donghuang Yanggu College's trading market. Therefore, not only would many Donghuang Yanggu College students come to the Donghuang Yanggu College to buy items, but there would also be many dragon warriors from other countries who would travel thousands of miles to buy some precious items. These items were rare in other places, but they were very common in Donghuang Yanggu College. As for the currency used in the Donghuang Yanggu College, it was the Donghuang Yanggu dollar. This currency was issued by Donghuang Yanggu College. Foreign currencies could not be used in the Donghuang Yanggu College, but it could be exchanged for Donghuang Yanggu dollar at the city's trading market. In the entire eastern region of the Dragon Martial Continent, within the jurisdiction of Donghuang Yanggu College, the Donghuang Yanggu dollar could be said to be the currency with the highest purchasing power. It was more precious than any other country's currency. There were too many geniuses here. Even if Kong Shinmu transformed into the sacred dragon successor and appeared, he would not attract too much attention. Chapter 4159. Kong Shinmu had finally arrived at the Donghuang Yanggu city after much difficulty. He stopped at the entrance of the Donghuang Yanggu city and quickly found out that if one was not an inheritor of the blood essence of a sacred dragon, he would have to pay 5 Donghuang dragon martial coins to enter the Donghuang Yanggu city. Don't underestimate the value of these 5 Donghuang dragon martial coins. In a place like the Yen Dragon Dynasty, one could purchase a Grade 2 Dragon Martial Technique Cultivation Manual. It was obvious that it wasn't that easy to obtain Donghuang Dragon Martial coins. At least, ordinary dragon martial artists were not qualified to enter. Of course, Kong Shinmu did not have any Donghuang Dragon Martial coins with him. However, he was an inheritor of the blood essence of a sacred dragon. Therefore, he showed his divine dragon form to let the guards in. It was rare to see such a young inheritor of the blood essence of a sacred dragon, even in the Donghuang Yanggu city. Therefore, when Kong Shinmu appeared, many people were surprised. Looks like the Donghuang Yanggu city will have another student. Many people were discussing in private. Every student in the Donghuang Yanggu city was an extremely powerful existence. There were even a few who could reach the level of a super divine dragon after graduation, surpassing the level of the dragon martial mainland, which was enviable. Once a student became a super divine dragon, he would become the subordinate of a supreme divine dragon, which was equivalent to reaching the sky in a single bound. If such a person appeared in the dragon martial mainland, everyone, including the Dragon Emperor, would have to bow down and worship him. The dean of Donghuang Yanggu College was a super divine dragon. This was a secret in the Donghuang Yanggu city. Kong Shinmu soon stepped into the Donghuang Yanggu city. He immediately started asking around to join the Donghuang Yanggu College and where he needed to go. Soon, he found a place to register for the college. It was the city lord's mansion located at the center of the Eastern Emperor Dragon Martial City. It was an incomparably magnificent palace. It was said that this palace was the residence of the students and teachers of Donghuang Yanggu College in Donghuang Dragon Martial City. Every student of Donghuang Yanggu College could have a hall in this palace, which was well-equipped and had an elegant environment. It was even more luxurious than the palaces of other Dragon Emperor empires. After all, this was the best place in the entire martial dragon continent. When Kong Xinmu arrived in front of the palace in the center, he saw that the palace's door was wide open and anyone could enter. However, if there was no reason for anyone to enter, they would definitely be chased out. The entire palace complex was extremely vast, with no end in sight. When Kong Xinmu flew over from afar, he noticed that there was a palace complex in the center of the Donghuang Dragon Martial City. He didn't expect that this was where the students of Donghuang Yanggu College would register and live. For the past 6 months, he had been imprisoned in Qingcang Tianlong Court. Now that he came out, he found that compared to Donghuang Yanggu College, the Qingcang Tianlong Court was far inferior. The entire Qingcang Tianlong Court was not even as magnificent as the central palace complex of Donghuang Yanggu College in the Donghuang Dragon Martial City. Not to mention the group of sky palaces in the form of divine dragons in the clouds. When Kong Xinmu arrived in front of the central palace complex, he finally heaved a sigh of relief. He had finally reached his destination. The process of joining Donghuang Yanggu College shouldn't be too complicated. After all, Donghuang Yanggu College only recognized the East Emperor seal. As long as a dragon martial artist had the East Emperor seal, they would be qualified to join Donghuang Yanggu College. However, when he was about to take a step forward, a voice suddenly came from behind. "Little brother, is this the registration area of Donghuang Yanggu College?" Kong Xinmu was stunned when he heard this. This voice seemed to be talking to him. He turned around and saw a young man dressed like a beggar. He had a piece of dried grass hanging from his mouth and was asking him a question. This young man looked sloppy, but his eyes had a shrewd glint. This was an expert. Kong Xinmu immediately reacted. To enter the Donghuang Dragon Martial City, one had to pay 5 Donghuang Dragon Martial coins. This young man didn't look like someone who could pay. Therefore, don't be fooled by his young age. He must be a sacred dragon's blood essence inheritor. Faintly, Kong Xinmu felt that this person was stronger than him, mainly because he felt a kind of pressure from this person. "This is the place." Kong Xinmu nodded his head and said indifferently. After saying this, he walked towards the main entrance of the palace. The beggar hurriedly followed him and patted his shoulder. "Little brother, wait for me. You're also here to register at Donghuang Yanggu College, right? Let's go together. It's my first time coming to such a big place, so I'm a little nervous." "Let's go together then." Kong Xinmu nodded his head. This young man seemed to be quite cheerful. Moreover, if they were going to join Donghuang Yanggu College in the future, there was no need to become enemies with him. The two of them stepped into the central palace together, attracting the attention of many people on the street. Those people were all shocked. Usually, it would be considered good if there was one dragon martial artist registering in a year. But now, there were 2 young men arriving on the same day? This was simply too strange. Those who could come to Donghuang Yanggu City had good eyesight. They could tell at a glance that Kong Xinmu and the beggar were extraordinary. Although their clothes were a little shabby, there was no doubt that they were extremely strong. The essence, qi, and spirit that belonged to the inheritors of the divine dragon blood essence couldn't deceive these people who had been fighting with experts all year round. As they stepped into the central palace, the news that 2 young experts were going to join Donghuang Yanggu College immediately spread. Many people in charge of the chambers of commerce in Donghuang Yanggu City began to make preparations and rushed to the entrance of the central palace with good stuff. To them, this was another good opportunity to rope in students. Every student of Donghuang Yanggu College was a huge treasure to them. Once they obtained the support of even one of them, the overall strength of their chambers of commerce would increase by a lot. Therefore, before Kong Xinmu and the beggar came out, the people in charge of the major chambers of commerce had already gathered outside the central palace. A total of dozens of chambers of commerce had come. They were all from the major Dragon Emperor Empire, including the Azure Dragon Kingdom's Azure Chamber of Commerce. One could imagine how respected a student of Donghuang Yanggu College was. Unfortunately, the people in charge of the Azure Chamber of Commerce probably didn't know that Kong Xinmu had just been released after being imprisoned for half a year by the people of Azure Sky Dragon Court. Otherwise, when he returned, he would probably tear down Azure Sky Dragon Court. For a student of Donghuang Yanggu College, even if they had to tear down Azure Sky Dragon Court, so what? Chapter 4160. Eastern Emperor Dragon Martial City. Central Palace. Kong Shin-mu and the beggar stepped into the entrance of this palace together. In fact, the current Kong Shin-mu was also dressed very sloppily, just slightly better than the beggar. It seems that in the process of finding Donghuang Yonggu College, this beggar had suffered a lot. I am Xueqi, what about you? The beggar's character was quite cheerful. After entering, he immediately started chatting with Kong Shin-mu. Kong Shin-mu. Kong Shin-mu replied. Where are you from? The beggar, Xueqi, continued to ask curiously. Yen Dragon Emperor Dynasty. Have you heard of it? After Kong Shin-mu came out, he felt that the Yen Dragon Emperor Dynasty was quite remote, and not many people had heard of it. However, after Xueqi heard it, his eyes suddenly lit up. I have heard of it, I have heard of it. Actually, I came from the south, but I took a big detour. When I reached the Yen Dragon Emperor Dynasty, I realized that I had taken a wrong turn. I had to turn back, spending 3 years. When Jiang Shenwu heard this, he immediately prostrated himself in admiration towards this fellow. Amazing, he actually took a big detour and spent 3 years to reach here. This was much more tortuous than Kong Shin-mu's journey. Kong Shin-mu used the ancient space-time array belonging to the beasts to reach here quickly. He was trapped in Tiansong Tianlong Court for half a year, which made Kong Shin-mu feel that he had spent too much time. In the end, this Xueqi actually spent 3 years and took a big detour from the south to the north. He even went to the remote Yen Dragon Emperor Dynasty. Kong Shin-mu could only express his admiration for him. Then, the relationship between both sides became closer, and they began to talk about what they saw and heard along the way. Kong Shin-mu didn't have much to say. First of all, he couldn't say much about the ancient space-time array. As for the matter regarding Tiansong Tianlong Court, Kong Shin-mu casually talked about it. He didn't feel that it was a shameful thing. After all, he was just a junior. Falling into that situation and being imprisoned by the other party, he had no choice. What? Tiansong Tianlong Court actually did such a shameless thing? When Xueqi heard this, he was immediately shocked. No wonder I found them so unpleasing to the eye when I saw them before. Brother Shenwu, don't worry. Once I finish reporting here, I will accompany you to turn Tiansong Tianlong Court upside down. At that time, they would be the disciples of Donghuang Yonggu College. Who would dare to be disrespectful to them? Kong Shin-mu could feel that this Xueqi was a few years older than him. In terms of cultivation, he was 3 to 4 levels higher than him. Of course, in terms of combat strength, Kong Shin-mu wouldn't necessarily lose to the other party. It was just that this Xueqi's strength was definitely not weak. Currently, Kong Shin-mu couldn't see through his true depth. Soon, the two of them moved forward and arrived at the front hall of the central palace complex. It was called Recruiting Hall. Obviously, this was the place where the students of Donghuang Yonggu College reported. In this place, Jiang Shenwu and Xueqi, who were far away, could feel a tyrannical aura coming from it. This aura is much stronger than the Yen Dragon Emperor. Kong Shin-mu's expression suddenly froze. The Yen Dragon Emperor's strength was naturally the strongest in the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire. However, after leaving the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire, he was nothing in the other Dragon Emperor empires. Among the Dragon Emperors, the Yen Dragon Emperor's strength could be said to be at the lower end. However, the aura coming from the hall made Kong Shin-mu feel a sense of oppression. That feeling was stronger than all the Dragon Emperor powerhouses he had met along the way. It even made it difficult for him to breathe. Of course, this kind of oppression didn't have much effect on Kong Shin-mu. It only made his expression more dignified. The same went for Xueqi. How could someone who could oversee the center of the Eastern Emperor Dragon Martial City be an ordinary person? He must be one of the top powerhouses in Donghuang Yonggu College. As the two of them arrived at the entrance of the hall, an old but spirited voice came into their ears. Come in. Obviously, the other party had already sensed their presence and invited them into the hall. He didn't chase us out, which means that he discovered the seal of the Eastern Emperor in our hands from far away. What kind of cultivation does he have? Kong Shin-mu was even more afraid of the old voice. Under such circumstances, he couldn't resist whatever the other party wanted to do. Although there shouldn't be any accidents here, there was always a possibility. Kong Shin-mu still maintained a cautious attitude. Very soon, He and Xueqi stepped into the palace and saw an old man sitting at the front. He did not seem to give off a suffocating pressure. In fact, at this moment, the pressure around them had completely disappeared. From the looks of it, the white-haired old man looked just like an ordinary old man. Junior Kong Shin-mu greets Senior. Kong Shin-mu took a step forward and greeted him respectfully. Xueqi did the same, but his attitude was a bit sloppy. The grass in his mouth was still in his mouth, and he said with a lisp, "Junior Xueqi greets Senior of Donghuang Yongwu College." "You too, ha ha ha." The old man laughed. His eyes narrowed into slits, and he kept sizing up Kong Shin-mu and Xueqi. "This old man is at most a gatekeeper in Donghuang Yongwu College. You can call me Elder Han. This old man has already checked your seal of the Eastern Emperor. I will inform the 2 teachers to come down and choose one of you as a student." 2 teachers, 2 students. This meant that Kong Shin-mu and Xueqi couldn't train under one teacher. But it didn't matter, the 2 of them had just met. "Elder Han, can you tell us about the situation of Donghuang Yongwu College?" Xueqi was bold, and he walked around the hall, looking left and right like a curious baby. Elder Han began to explain some things. First, Donghuang Yongwu College's training was arranged by the teachers. Every student who had just joined Donghuang Yongwu College would be assigned a teacher. In the entire Donghuang Yongwu College, there were a total of 19 Dragon Emperor Realm teachers. Now, every teacher basically had 4 or 5 students under them, and these students were the focus of the teacher's training. Kong Shin-mu listened to Elder Han and calculated. Donghuang Yongwu College only had a total of 100 students. Even if the Dragon Emperor Realm graduates were included, there would only be a few hundred people at most. In this way, there were a total of 4 Dragon Emperor colleges in the north, south, east, and west. Currently, there were no more than 500 students. This number was much less than Kong Shin-mu had expected. It seems that there aren't many geniuses who can pass the 5th level of the Holy Tower of Fire Dragon. Kong Shin-mu sighed in his heart. Chapter 4161. Kong Shin-mu and Xueqi waited in the hall. During this time, Kong Shin-mu carefully observed the situation in the hall. He did not walk around but only observed the environment in private. Xueqi, on the other hand, was quite bold. He walked around the hall, touching things here and there. Fortunately, old Han did not stop him or say anything. He just closed his eyes and rested, waiting for the arrival of the tutor of Donghuang Yongwu College. Not long after, 2 dragon roars came from the sky outside. These dragon roars shook the sky as if they came from beyond the sky. They pierced through Kong Shin-mu's eardrums and shocked him. Even a dragon emperor like Yen Dragon Emperor could not have such power. Now it seemed that the tutor of Donghuang Yongwu College was much stronger than Yen Dragon Emperor. Kong Shin-mu had not reached that level yet, so he could not feel how big the gap between them was. But he was sure that if Dragon Emperor Yen was here, he would most likely be shocked by the dragon roars in the sky. Very soon, as the dragon's roar gradually dissipated, 2 majestic figures walked into the hall. The 2 silhouettes were a man and a woman. The middle-aged man had short white hair and looked incomparably handsome. His eyes seemed to have been refined from the stars, and there was some kind of terrifying rune power flowing in them, which was shocking to see. This man's divine dragon blood should have something to do with the attribute of stars. He was a genuine Dragon Emperor, and even surpassed the ordinary Dragon Emperor. He was the strongest existence among the Dragon Emperors. As for the other young woman, her entire body was covered in frost. Her face was extremely beautiful, but it was filled with incomparable coldness. She wore a snow-white dress, and ice crystals danced around her, causing the temperature of the entire hall to drop. "The 2 of you are here? These 2 brats are here to register together. According to the rules, under such circumstances, Tan Shozhua can choose 1 student first." Old Man Han's expression didn't change in the slightest when he saw the 2 of them. He only smiled and reminded them. Tan Shozhua must be referring to the middle-aged astral divine dragon. Elder Han had told Kong Shin-mu and the others that the tutors of Donghuang Yongwu College recruited students according to the order in which they took turns. It was obvious that the middle-aged man, Tan Shozhua, was the first to take his turn. However, because Jiang Shenwu and Xueqi had come together, and there were 2 students with them, the relatively young girl had also come with them. "If that's the case, Chu Yueqiang, I'll pick first." The middle-aged man seemed to be a bit serious. Although there was a beauty beside him, he did not even look at her. He only kept sizing up Kong Xinmu and Xueqi, who was walking around the hall. After a while he pouted at Xueqi and said, "Brat, come with me." "What's your name?" At first, Kong Xinmu thought that since the middle-aged man had spoken, Xueqi would have no choice but to agree. However, when Xueqi heard this, he immediately spat out the grass in his mouth and asked with widened eyes, "What? Shouldn't I be the one choosing my tutor? No way. I want a beautiful tutor." His behavior gave Kong Xinmu a fright. This brat was really outrageous. He didn't expect that he would dare to flirt in front of the Dragon Emperor tutors of Donghuang Yonggu College. It was really admirable. However, the middle-aged man, Tan Shoujua's face quickly darkened. When he said this, Old Han, Tan Shoujua, and the young female tutor, Chu Yueqiang, all looked at Xueqi. "What nonsense are you talking about? Get over here." Tan Shoujua's face darkened. He raised his hand and a wave of starlight condensed into a large hand. He actually wanted to pull Xueqi over through the air. Xueqi was naturally displeased. He subconsciously wanted to resist, and even wanted to transform into his divine dragon form. However, before he could move, he was grabbed by the starlight. There was no room for him to resist at all. The difference between the two was really too big. Tan Shoujua only waved his hand and completely restrained Xueqi. "Let's go. Chu Yueqiang, I will teach this brat a good lesson when we get back." Tan Shoujua carried Xueqi with one hand as easily as if he was carrying a doll. After saying this to the young woman, he turned around and left the hall. The process was simple and clear. It was so fast that it was a little unbelievable. There was not even any superfluous words. Tan Shoujua was indeed very strong. If he chose first, who knew what he saw in Xueqi? Could it be that in Tan Shoujua's eyes, Xueqi's talent surpassed his? Kong Xinmu couldn't help but think. However, he quickly dispelled his doubts. "Little friend Kong Xinmu, that Tan Shoujua is famous for being a tough guy. He loves to teach those who don't listen. You were too obedient just now, so he wasn't interested in you." Old Han explained with a smile. Hearing this, Kong Xinmu suddenly felt a little awkward. In that situation, as a junior, he could only stand and listen to orders, right? However, that Xueqi was actually so arrogant. It seemed that after being brought over by Tan Shoujua, he would definitely not feel good at the beginning. Next, Kong Xinmu naturally had to follow that young woman, Chu Yueqiang, as his mentor. After sizing her up, Kong Xinmu realized that this beautiful mentor actually didn't have any expression from the beginning until now. She always had a cold expression. Even when Xueqi said those disrespectful words, her expression didn't change. After Tan Shoujua left with Xueqi, she waved at Kong Xinmu and said, "Let's go." Her voice was as clear as an aureole, making people feel a little numb. However, it carried a kind of indifference that pushed people 1,000 miles away. It was as if everything in this world had nothing to do with her. Kong Xinmu didn't care. In any case, it was the same as everyone else. It was fine as long as he could learn something. This beautiful mentor named Chu Yueqiang was definitely an existence more tyrannical than Dragon Emperor Yan. If he cultivated under her, he should be able to gain many unexpected benefits. However, Kong Xinmu's understanding of Donghuang Yonggu College was still too little. He didn't know how the mentors arranged each student. "Old Han, this junior will take his leave." After Kong Xinmu said goodbye to Old Han, he followed Chu Yueqiang out. He vaguely felt that this Old Han was definitely not just a simple gatekeeper for Donghuang Yonggu College. Looking at Tan Shoujua and Chu Yueqiang's attitude towards him, there was even a trace of respect hidden within. He could tell that Old Han definitely had another identity. Unfortunately, Kong Xinmu couldn't guess the specifics. Moreover, the gap between him and these existences was too big. There were many things that were useless even if he told them. It's better to peacefully cultivate and see what's so special about this Donghuang Yonggu College. It actually has the confidence to let every student step into the Dragon Emperor level. Chapter 4162. Donghuang Yonggu College was located in the eastern part of the Dragon Martial Continent. It was the largest college in the eastern region, and also the only official college in the eastern region. The so-called official meant that this Donghuang Yonggu College was established by the Supreme Dragon Emperor, who ruled the entire Dragon Martial continent. Its purpose was to nurture more Dragon Emperor experts. The most important thing was the birth of the Supreme Dragon Emperor, who could become the subordinates of the Supreme Dragon Emperor. Kong Xinmu followed Chu Yueqiang and flew all the way to Donghuang Yonggu College. It was a group of dragon-shaped buildings in the sky, majestic and magnificent. Under the cover of the white clouds, the whole college was like a giant dragon swimming in the clouds. Chu Yueqiang transformed into a dragon and flew. She was indeed an ice divine dragon, but her bloodline was incomparably pure. For the time being, Kong Xinmu could not tell what kind of divine dragon blood essence it was. He only knew that this divine dragon blood essence was definitely more powerful than Shi Yueying's quintuple mysterious ice dragon. As Chu Yueqiang passed through an invisible barrier, Kong Xinmu felt that he had entered an area with incomparably rich heaven and earth spiritual energy. This area was the real Donghuang Yonggu College. He saw the sun rising in the distance, shining on the sky and the earth. The buildings in the clouds were faintly discernible. The rich heaven and earth spiritual energy surrounded him. Cultivating in such an environment, the speed of improvement would be several times faster than in the outside world. It was no wonder that when Dragon Emperor Yan mentioned this Donghuang Yonggu College, his eyes were so envious, as if he really wanted to come here. Moreover, Kong Xinmu felt that the heaven and earth spiritual energy in Donghuang Yonggu College contained a special kind of energy. If this energy was absorbed for a long time, it could actually help a dragon martial artist's divine dragon blood essence improve continuously. I'm afraid that Donghuang Yonggu College has a way to raise a dragon martial artist to the Dragon Emperor realm. Kong Xinmu was shocked. He had never seen any place with such energy that could raise the level of a dragon martial artist's essence and blood. Perhaps only existences at the level of the Supreme Divine Dragon could seize such power and gather it in an area to cultivate desired talents. With this kind of energy in this area, Kong Xinmu felt that it wouldn't take long for him to advance from the Holy Dragon Realm to the Dragon King Realm. Even reaching the Dragon Emperor realm was only a matter of time. The crux of the matter was, how did Donghuang Yonggu College cultivate, and how would Chu Yueqiang teach him? Kong Xinmu didn't think too much about it, and quickly followed Chu Yueqiang to Donghuang Yonggu College. The academy's resources are limited. You should have felt it. There is a kind of power in the academy that can raise the rank of the dragon martial artist's blood essence. This kind of power is very rare. Even the students of the academy have to compete for it. Chu Yueqiang finally spoke, but her voice was still cold. It wasn't that she didn't want to pay attention to Kong Xinmu, but her personality had always been like this. He didn't know what could attract her attention. Kong Xinmu nodded. Yes. He looked around and found that the mysterious power outside the academy wasn't very strong. Following Chu Yueqiang to the vicinity of the academy's buildings, he could feel the existence of that power even more clearly. The closer you get to the center of the academy, the denser this energy becomes. Therefore, I encourage you all to continuously advance towards the inner parts of the academy through challenges. As for the specific rules and regulations, I will give you a small booklet later. It will all be recorded inside. As Chu Yueqiang spoke, she led Jiang Shenwu to a palace within the clouds. This palace was almost as big as some of the imperial palaces of the Dragon Emperor Empire. The entire palace seemed to be empty, and such a palace could only be considered ordinary in the entire Donghuang Yonggu College. Kong Xinmu looked around. There were too many such palaces in the middle of the clouds in front of him. From afar, the entire Donghuang Yonggu College was like a soaring divine dragon. Speaking of which, the palace in front of him was basically just a dragon scale on the body of the soaring divine dragon. From afar, it was not eye-catching at all. This will be your residence for a period of time. Chu Yueqiang said to Kong Xinmu, in the palace, you can find a booklet called Academy Guidebook. Read it first and then come find me after. After saying this, Chu Yueqiang raised her hand. Kong Xinmu felt a chill on his wrist. Immediately after, he found that the East Emperor seal on his wrist had disappeared. Replacing it was an ice crystal rose pattern, which seemed to represent Chu Yueqiang. This symbol is the symbol of a mentor. Kong Xinmu knew this, but he did not think too much about it. He watched as Chu Yueqiang transformed into an ice divine dragon and flew away. Soon, she disappeared in the fairyland-like clouds. He walked towards the palace in front of him. This entire palace belonged to him, which made him feel like he was in a dream. After all, no matter how talented he had been in the past, he had never received such attention. Now, it seemed that this Donghuang Yonggu College was indeed the top cultivation place in the entire Dragon Martial continent. Any random student could have such an excellent environment to cultivate and live in. No wonder I need to break through the 5th level of the Holy Tower of Fire Dragon to be qualified to enter this college. This is really shocking. When Kong Shinmu stepped into the palace, he first walked around and found that the palace was indeed very big. In the palace, there were even some dragon soldier halls and dragon martial halls. Among them, there were even dragon-grade dragon weapons placed casually. It was obvious that they were prepared for him. Dragon-grade dragon weapons were on the same level as the heavenly sacred halberd that Kong Shinmu had. Above them, only dragon-grade dragon weapons were stronger. In the dragon soldier hall, there were no dragon-grade dragon weapons, but the entire Donghuang Yonggu College definitely had them. It was just a matter of whether one was qualified to obtain them. In the Dragon Martial Hall, there were all kinds of dragon martial techniques below 2nd grade. There were dozens of 2nd grade dragon martial techniques. In the ordinary Dragon Emperor Empire, each of them was enough to make a dragon martial artist family go bankrupt. But here, they were just placed casually, as if they were not valuable at all. Kong Shinmu could also imagine that in Donghuang Yonggu College, there must be many dragon martial artists who cultivated the source dragon martial techniques, as well as dragon-grade dragon martial techniques below 2nd grade that had reached the highest level, heaven grade. Any random dragon martial technique manuals written by them would be enough to fill up the entire dragon martial hall. Is this the booklet that the tutor mentioned? Kong Shinmu came to the main hall. In the center, there was a booklet floating in the air, enshrouded by the spiritual chi of heaven and earth. He went forward to take a look, and sure enough, the cover was engraved with the words, College Guide. Kong Shinmu knew that if he wanted to understand Donghuang Yonggu College, this was the best opportunity, so he could not wait to open the booklet. Chapter 4163. After a long time, Kong Shinmu realized that the booklet could make him fall into an illusion and give him a vivid and detailed introduction of the entire Donghuang Yonggu College. He felt that he had come to an independent world, and there was nothing in the sky. But soon, floating palaces appeared in front of him one after another. These palaces gradually formed the shape of the current Donghuang Yonggu College, forming a flying divine dragon. Then, there seemed to be an invisible force gathering from the surroundings. Kong Shinmu could even see the roar of a divine dragon coming from the higher sky under the illumination of the starlight. He could even vaguely see the figure of a divine dragon streaking across the sky. It was unknown how long the divine dragon was, but it was probably not much smaller than the entire Donghuang Yonggu College. Could that be the true ruler of the dragon martial continent, the supreme divine dragon, the dragon of calamity? Kong Shinmu thought of this rumor he had heard before and could not help but be fascinated. If that was the form of the supreme divine dragon, then how powerful would the supreme divine dragon be? This Donghuang Yonggu College was created by the Supreme Divine Dragon. As the embryonic form of Donghuang Yonggu College took shape in front of Kong Shinmu, the invisible energy finally filled the entire college. Now, Kong Shinmu finally remembered where he had seen this energy before. It was when he broke through to the 5th level of the Holy Dragon's Holy Pagoda. He absorbed this energy and finally broke through to the Holy Dragon's inheritance blood essence. At this moment, the invisible energy formed 7 distinct areas within the boundaries of Donghuang Yonggu College. Among these 7 areas, the invisible energy was the densest in the central area, and it became thinner the further one went. This made Kong Shinmu think that the students and teachers cultivating in Donghuang Yonggu College must have met some conditions before they could go to the more central area to absorb the denser invisible energy. The closer they were to the center, the faster they could raise the grade of the divine dragon blood essence. Kong Shinmu guessed that he should be in the outermost region, the place where the invisible energy was the weakest. If he wanted to improve faster, he would have to find a way to get closer to the center of the academy. Then, some small words appeared in front of him. These small words recorded the challenge rules of Donghuang Yonggu College. The 7 regions covered by the formless energy, from the center to the outermost, were divided into 7 regions: Dubhe, Merak, Fekta, Migres, Alioth, Mizar, and Alcade. Among them, the Dubhe region had the densest energy. If one cultivated there, one's divine dragon blood essence would improve at the fastest rate. In comparison, the The Alcade district was the outermost region. It would take a long time to raise the grade of divine dragon blood essence. It was worth noting that other than the outermost Alcade district, the inner 6 districts all had a limited number of people. Among them, the innermost Dubhi district had a total of 3 places. Among them, the energy was the most abundant, but it was also the most difficult to enter. Only the 3 strongest students of Donghuang Yongwu College were qualified to cultivate in the Dubhi district. Following closely behind was the second place, the Merak district. This Merak district had a total of 7 places, slightly more than the Dubhi district, but it was not easy to enter. The Fekta and Migres districts had 9 and 15 places respectively. The Alioth and Mizar districts also had 15 places. The total number of places for the 6 districts in the inner circle was only slightly more than 60. Compared to the more than 100 students of Donghuang Yongwu College, nearly half of the students could only cultivate in the outermost Alcade district. That was where Kong Xinmu was now. Those who can come to Donghuang Yongwu College are all 1 in a million geniuses among the dragon martial artists. Those who can be ranked at the top are even more outstanding. Now in the centermost Dubhi district, the 3 places for students should all be Dragon Emperor, level Divine Dragon Blood Essence, right? Kong Xinmu thought to himself. This Donghuang Yongwu College was created to cultivate Super Shenron, so the Dragon Emperor level was not the end for them. They must try to continue to move up. No matter whether they succeeded or not, they could not give up. However, it was important to note that if they could not become Super Shenron within 100 years after joining Donghuang Yongwu College, then they would be repatriated. They could only go to the Dragon Martial Continent to establish a new Dragon Emperor Empire, or go to the existing Dragon Emperor Empire to choose to join. In other words, 100 years was the deadline for the students of Donghuang Yongwu College. They must set foot in the level of Super Shenron within this 100 years, otherwise it would be difficult to achieve the level of Super Shenron blood essence. After all these things were introduced, Kong Xinmu's vision blurred. He found himself back in the center of the palace that was arranged for him, and the booklet had disappeared. So that's how it is. This Donghuang Yongwu College is also a place where the competition is fierce. Kong Xinmu's fighting spirit was aroused. Even if there were other geniuses who could break through the 5th level of the Holy Tower, he believed that compared to him, they did not have such good conditions. He did not tell anyone about his devouring ability, and it was also his most hidden and trump card. This was a means to make him stronger quickly. Even if it was only the Alcade district at the outermost periphery of Donghuang Yongwu College, he had a hunch that if he used the devouring ability, he could quickly devour the surrounding energy into his body, so that the level of his divine dragon blood essence would rapidly increase. This was an intuition. Moreover, Jiang Xinwu believed that his intuition was correct. However, he wasn't sure if there would be any big commotion if he were to devour this invisible energy. After all, the booklet had already recorded that this energy had a limit and wasn't limitless. The overall energy of the Alcade district was shared by nearly 50 students. If Kong Xinmu monopolized all this energy, it would definitely attract the attention of the college, and then his devouring ability might be exposed. No matter what, I'll give it a try first. Kong Xinmu was still quite confident in his devouring ability. At least, the effect of him devouring the same amount of invisible energy would definitely be much better than other dragon martial artists directly absorbing it. Of course, now Kong Xinmu also knew that this invisible energy was called Dragon Mark. It was said that it was the energy left behind by some super powerful divine dragon after death. This energy could improve the divine dragon blood essence of a dragon martial artist. My devouring ability to devour the divine dragon's corpse to improve the level of my blood essence seems to be the energy of devouring the dragon mark. The energy of the dragon mark in the dragon bone is much more than the energy of the dragon mark in the flesh of the divine dragon. Jiang Xinwu had finally figured out the principle behind his devouring power. However, for now, knowing this would not allow him to rapidly improve his strength. I can only try devouring the energy of this dragon mark first. Chapter 4164. When Kong Xinmu was in the Holy Tower of the Fire Dragon, the dragon mark energy he obtained directly allowed him to reach the level of the divine dragon blood essence of a holy dragon. Even if he had the devouring ability, he would need to devour a large number of Dragon King divine dragon skeletons to advance from a holy dragon to a dragon king. However, the dragon mark energy of Donghuang Yonggu College seemed to come from the remains of a super divine dragon or an even stronger supreme divine dragon. This was like sweet dew after a long drought for Kong Shin-mu. He sat down in the hall and tried to devour the dragon mark energy around him. At this time, he was very careful and only tried to devour the dragon mark energy. As his mind calmed down, the dragon mark energy around him constantly gathered around him and was then absorbed into his body by the dark devouring power that emerged from his body. He could feel that after devouring these dragon marks, the divine dragon blood essence in his body was fusing with these dragon marks and continuously increasing his strength during the fusion process. Originally, he had just reached the level of a holy dragon's blood essence, but soon, he felt that the grade of the divine dragon blood essence in his body was improving at a speed that he could feel. If this trend continued, it would take him no more than half a year to advance from a holy dragon to a dragon king. In the college guidebook, just now, it described the speed of advancement in the Alkay district that it would take at least 3 years to advance from a holy dragon to a dragon king. This also meant that the efficiency of Kong Shin-mu's devouring power to absorb dragon marks was at least 5 times that of an ordinary dragon martial artist. Moreover, this did not mean that he had absorbed more dragon marks, but that the effect of devouring the same number of dragon marks was at least 5 times better than that of others. Even if he cultivated normally, as long as the devouring speed was not too fast, it would not attract others' attention. This made Kong Shin-mu a little excited. The dragon mark energy of Donghuang Yonggu College was really surprising. It seems that I can indeed achieve a leap in strength in Donghuang Yonggu College. However, I still have to be careful and must not expose the devouring ability. Otherwise, I'm afraid that even the Supreme Divine Dragon will notice the situation here. Kong Shin-mu was now extremely careful. This was because he knew very well that the black dragon consciousness in his body was even an existence that could compete with the legendary ancestral dragon. Although he did not know its specific identity for the time being, Kong Shin-mu would never want others to know that there was such an existence in his body. In Donghuang Yonggu College, the black dragon consciousness seemed to be sleeping deeper. It was unknown whether it was afraid of being exposed or it felt that Kong Shin-mu would not encounter danger in this place. In any case, having arrived at Donghuang Yonggu College, Kong Shin-mu had reached a stage of rapid advancement for him. In this way, he Spirit Long Dragon, Divine Dragon Blood Spirit Long Dragon Clan World, Dragon, a sect, Dragon Blood Essence Dragon Blood Dragon God, that Dragon Devoured Dragon Clan, that Dragon Blood of Dragon. This was to that he could that Kong King of the world of Spirit of Dragon. Of course, if Kong Shin-mu had the opportunity to devour the dragon mark's energy, the speed of his divine dragon blood essence's upgrade would be at least 10 times faster. In total, it would be at least 50 times faster than others. This was a rather terrifying thing, but once it happened, Kong Shin-mu would be in danger of being exposed. There was no need. Even if he cultivated step by step, he would still be much faster than an ordinary dragon warrior, so there was no need to be anxious. In any case, his current cultivation level could not keep up, and he was only at the first level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. No matter how high the grade of the divine dragon's blood essence was, he would not be a match for those old fellows. In that case, I should focus on improving my realm first. However, to improve my realm, I need a huge amount of spiritual chi of heaven and earth, and Donghuang Yonggu College only has enough energy from the dragon mark. Kong Shin-mu felt that it was a little troublesome. However, he soon thought of something, which was mentioned in the college guidebook, that the students of Donghuang Yonggu College had the obligation to accept a mission to go out and gain experience every once in a while. After all, the students of the college could not stay in the college and immerse themselves in cultivation every day. If that happened, the grade of the divine dragon's blood essence would increase, but the real combat power would not be able to keep up. This mission to gain experience needs to be accepted once a month. Basically, it is to go to other Dragon Emperor empires and experience some battles. Maybe this is my chance. Kong Shin-mu thought to himself, and he also wanted to take this opportunity to ask if there was an existence like the ancient space-time formation in Donghuang Yonggu College. If there was, he could return to the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire every time he wanted to improve. Now, near the sealing dragon abyss of the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire, there were already many armies of the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire stationed there. But it was nothing for Kong Shin-mu. This place was originally occupied by him, and now that he had become a student of Donghuang Yonggu College, even the Yen Dragon Emperor had to give him some face, and it was not difficult to arrange a quiet place for him nearby. After thinking about what to do next, Kong Shinmu left the palace where he was. He wanted to go to the central square of the Yaoguang district to see if there were any recent missions to accept. Speaking of which, since he came to Donghuang Yonggu College, he had not come out for a stroll. He did not even know the situation of the other students of mentor Xueqi. Kong Shinmu transformed into a dragon and flew. There was no need to hide here. His body, more than 300 feet long black dragon, quickly moved forward, shuttling through the clouds. The entire Yaoguang district of Donghuang Yonggu College was really too big. The whole area of the college was equivalent to half the size of the Yen Dragon Emperor Empire, and the Yaoguang district occupied 1/3 of it. He flew through the clouds, and basically did not see the existence of other dragon martial artists. There were originally very few dragon martial artists here. Most of them were still in closed-door training. It was not easy to see other people. However, when he arrived at the Yaoguang district square, he still saw two figures in front of a palace in the clouds, looking at a stone tablet. That stone tablet was the Experience Stone Tablet. Any experience mission that Donghuang Yonggu College had would basically be posted on the Experience Stone Tablet. The college had 7 areas. Each area had an Experience Stone Tablet, and the difficulty of each area's experience mission was different. Of course, the Yaoguang district's experience mission was the easiest. Although in Donghuang Yonggu College, the dragon martial artists in the Yaoguang district were the outermost, it could be said that they were the weakest batch of students, but outside, each of them was the most talented genius. Even in a top Dragon Emperor Empire college like the Qingcang Tianlong Court, the most talented student couldn't compare to the weakest student in Donghuang Yonggu College. I wonder who those two are. It shouldn't be such a coincidence that they are mentor Xueqi students, right? Kong Shinmu thought while approaching the Experience Stone Tablet, and soon found that the two students, one male and one female, seemed to be talking to each other. It seemed that they knew each other, and even seemed to be very familiar with each other. Kong Shinmu didn't have any intention of conversing. After approaching the Experience Stone Tablet, he directly returned to his human form, and then looked at the Experience Stone Tablet, trying to find a suitable experience mission for himself. Chapter 4165. I heard that the instructor has taken in a new student called Kong Shinmu. That should be you, right? When Kong Shinmu arrived, the girl in the white dress sized him up curiously. Her voice was light and pleasant like a kingfisher. That's me. You two are? Kong Shinmu was stunned for a moment before he bowed politely and asked. I'm Qin Fengyu, and he's Lu Hua. We're both students of instructor Xueqi, and we just happened to bump into each other. Why don't we accept the same experience? The girl chuckled. She was very curious about Kong Shinmu, so she actually wanted to accept the experience together with him. Sure, Kong Shinmu, but it depends on whether you're willing to come with us. The young man beside her, Lu Hua, was cultured and elegant. He was dressed in black and was very polite to Kong Shinmu. His handsome face always had a smile on it. Since the two seniors are willing to bring this junior along, I'm naturally willing. Kong Shinmu smiled. Since they were both students of Xueqi, there shouldn't be much scheming between them. Most importantly, whether it was Lu Hua or Qin Fengyu, their smiles were incomparably sincere, and he couldn't see anything sinister. Since that's the case, you can choose your mission. Lu Hua elegantly made way for Kong Shinmu and smiled gently at him. Kong Shinmu nodded. He had a good impression of these two students. He looked at the Experience Stone Tablet and saw a mission at a glance. It actually required students to head to the Azure Dragon Nation and exterminate a bloodthirsty and ferocious demon beast. Among the demon beasts, there were good ones that had saved Kong Shinmu, but there were also vicious ones that killed indiscriminately. These demon beasts were a disaster for ordinary dragon practitioners. The demon beast in the Azure Dragon Nation was a fiery golden eyes wild lion. Its bloodline was comparable to the Dragon King's, and its strength was comparable to the 6th level of the Nirvana Tribulation Realm. Even the Azure Dragon Kingdom would need to dispatch a relatively powerful existence to deal with this level of power. Therefore, he might as well submit it to Donghuang Yonggu College and let the students handle it. He didn't need to pay the students anyway. Brother Jiang, what do you think of the Azure Dragon Kingdom? You don't look very happy. At this moment, the young lady, Qin Fengyu, noticed the change in Jiang Shenwu's gaze and asked curiously. It's nothing. Kong Shinmu shook his head and casually said, It's just that when I first arrived, I was framed once in Qingcang Tianlong Court and was locked up for half a year. What? When Qin Fengyu and Lu Hua heard this, their expressions changed. This is too much. Even though Lu Hua was cultured and refined, she was a little angry now. Kong Xinmu, don't worry. Since we're both students of teacher Chu Yueqiang, I'll help you vent your anger. Qin Fengyu was a bit gossipy. Let's accept this mission and go to Qing Tsong Tianlong Court to cause trouble. But I'm very curious. Brother Jiang, what did they frame you for? Nothing much. Kong Xinmu shook his head and briefly explained the matter. As a result, Qin Fengyu couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh. Molesting the disciples of Qing Tsong Tianlong Court? They really came up with this idea. Amazing. Amazing. But Brother Jiang, you're really lucky that you didn't reveal your East Emperor seal. Otherwise, I don't know if they would have killed you. Lu Hua also nodded. Yes, I'm too lucky. I really don't want to wait a moment longer. Let's go to Qing Tsong Tianlong Court first and call those bastards out. Once they became an official student of Donghuang Yonggu College, they would have a teacher's mark on their body. No matter where they were, Chu Yueqiang would be able to accurately know their location. Even if the old monsters of Qing Tsong Tianlong Court made a move, they wouldn't dare to do anything unless they wanted the entire Qing Tsong Dragon Kingdom to be destroyed. Once anyone dared to make a move on a student of Donghuang Yonggu College, they would die without a doubt. Because every student of Donghuang Yonggu College was a proud son of heaven. Geniuses with such talent would not dare to mess around outside and use their identity to bully other dragon warriors. Therefore, if something happened to a student of Donghuang Yonggu College, the fault would mostly lie with the other party. Even if the other party's Dragon Emperor Kingdom was turned upside down, so what? Let's go to the East Emperor Array. Qin Fengyu and Lu Hua brought Kong Xinmu to a place within Donghuang Yonggu College. The East Emperor Array was a teleportation dragon array within Donghuang Yonggu College. This was what Kong Xinmu wanted. As long as he had this thing, he would be able to return to the sealed dragon abyss of the Yen Dragon Emperor Kingdom during his nirvana tribulation. He could deceive others. Once the Eastern Imperial Formation is used, it will be able to teleport you to the place you want to go, and leave behind a teleportation formation that can be used to return. This teleportation formation can only be used by students of the Eastern Imperial Dragon Martial Academy. To activate the East Emperor Array, a certain amount of mission points are required. Let's go, little brother Jiang. Senior sister will pay for the mission points for you first. When you return from the mission and receive the mission points, you can return the points. Qin Fengyu and Lu Hua brought Kong Xinmu over while explaining to him. Thank you both. How many points does the East Emperor Array cost for one teleportation? Kong Xinmu asked curiously. Based on the distance you teleported, we won't need to spend too much on our trip to the Azure Dragon Kingdom. The girl, Qin Fengyu, chattered. In that case, it will take a long time for me to teleport back to the Yen Dragon Emperor Kingdom. With this thought in mind, Jiang Xinwu decided to accept more experience missions in the future to earn experience points. Moreover, the college's handbook said that if one accumulated enough experience points, they could exchange for some origin dragon martial skills. This made Kong Xinmu look forward to it. Soon, they arrived at a place with abundant heaven and earth spiritual qi. When they arrived, Kong Xinmu felt a mysterious space-time force enveloping him. The East Emperor Array was right in front of them. The Eastern Emperor Formation was a spherical formation that was surrounded by mysterious space-time flowing lights. It looked extremely mysterious. The East Emperor Array was located at the four corners of Donghuang Yonggu College. Due to the small number of students in Donghuang Yonggu College, this place was deserted. Someone would only come here once in a while, and there was no one guarding it. In any case, the students of Donghuang Yonggu College knew how to activate the East Emperor Array. Let's go. Both of them brought Kong Xinmu and activated the East Emperor Array with an unhappy mood. Those bastards from Tianlong Court actually dared to harm the students of Donghuang Yonggu College. Jane was simply courting death. Chapter 4166. Azure Dragon Country. Kong Xinmu, Qin Fengyu, and Lu Hua came to this barren mountain and slightly identified the direction. I'm more familiar with Azure Dragon Country. Follow me. Senior brother Lu Hua's face was indifferent, but his eyes revealed a hint of anger. Obviously, he was very unhappy with Azure Sky Dragon Court's actions. Qin Fengyu and Kong Xinmu followed together. The scenery in the Azure Dragon country was quite good. After walking out of the wilderness, they arrived at a large lake. The lake was sparkling, and the water seemed to touch the sky. A light breeze caressed their faces, making them feel refreshed. Kong Xinmu had an inexplicable feeling of relaxation in his heart. It seemed that he had been busy cultivating and didn't pay much attention to the surrounding environment. Looking at the big lake in front of him, he thought that if he could leisurely stay here, it would be quite comfortable. Of course, now was not the time for him to stop moving forward. Qing Tsong Tianlong Court. After crossing this big lake, it wasn't far. Regarding finding those brats and dragging them out, Lu Hua and Qin Fengyu were even more anxious than Kong Xinmu. Bringing him with the fastest speed, they transformed into a dragon and flew away. What surprised Kong Xinmu was that these two senior brothers and sisters actually had the wind attribute divine dragon blood essence. They crossed the sky at an extremely fast speed. Not long after, the mountain range where Azure Sky Dragon Court was located appeared in front of them. This time, Kong Xinmu was just a spectator. He knew that Lu Hua and Qin Fengyu would help him settle everything and help him vent his anger. In Donghuang Yonggu College, none of the students would have any thoughts of framing others. For them, framing others was useless. The most important thing was to rise up themselves. After all, each of them was the world's most talented proud son of heaven. They were too lazy to play any tricks. So now, Kong Xinmu, Lu Hua, and Qin Fengyu were very relieved. The three of them transformed into dragons and flew above the Sky Dragon Court. The aura belonging to the Dragon Warrior erupted. Coupled with the aura of their mentor Chu Yueqiang, it instantly enveloped the entire Sky Dragon Court. On dozens of mountain peaks, the dragon martial artists who were cultivating and sparring were all inexplicably shocked. Anyone could see that the ones who arrived above Tianlong Court were three students from Donghuang Yonggu College. Donghuang Yonggu College was the most terrifying force in this region. No one dared to disrespect them. Thus, when they flew over, everyone was shocked and a little worried. Looking at their aggressive appearance, could it be that they are here to cause trouble for Tianlong Court? The Azure Sky Dragon Court was the highest academy in the Azure Dragon country. However, even the Azure Dragon Kingdom was nothing compared to Donghuang Yonggu College. In the surroundings of Donghuang Yonggu College, there were hundreds and thousands of Dragon Emperor countries. These countries had to surrender to Donghuang Yonggu College. Immediately, a few dragon warriors transformed into divine dragons and came forward to welcome them. They were the elders of Tianlong Court. Their cultivation base was extremely profound, and they were all at the same level as the Dragon Emperor. For these elders, the cultivation base of Kong Xinmu and the other two was nothing. After all, they were too young. However, they didn't dare to show the slightest disrespect to Kong Xinmu and the other two. May I ask what the three distinguished guests have come here for? The few old men transformed into their human forms and asked Lu Hua respectfully, who was at the front. You have a female disciple named Yang Yuewu here, right? Call her out. Lu Hua's face was cold as he said indifferently. At this time, Kong Xinmu only needed to watch from the side. After hearing Lu Hua's words, the few elders looked at each other and immediately looked at each other in dismay. Yang Yuewu? These old men were the higher-ups of Qing Tsong Tianlong Court. They were not particularly familiar with the name Yang Yuewu. Distinguished guests, please wait a moment. We will send someone to investigate. If there is really such a person, let her come here immediately. The leading elder was the dean of Tianlong Court. He frowned slightly. May I ask the distinguished guests, why are you looking for Yang Yuewu? Half a year ago, my junior brother went to your Tianlong Court as a guest. In the end, he was wrongly accused of molesting Yang Yuewu and was imprisoned in the Sin Guarding Tower for half a year. Lu Hua coldly snorted. I want to see which woman dares to frame my junior brother. As soon as he said this, the faces of the elders immediately changed. Framing a disciple of Donghuang Yonggu College and imprisoning a disciple of Donghuang Yonggu College for half a year? This kind of thing, if it was really done, it would lead to the destruction of a country. How could their Qing Tsong Tian Dragon Court withstand such pressure? Perhaps as long as the big shots of Donghuang Yonggu College give the order, their Tianlong Court would be disbanded, ending in a miserable state. Immediately, the leading elder said in a deep voice, Distinguished guests must be joking. How would we dare to frame and imprison a student of Donghuang Yonggu College? Could it be that we remembered wrongly? They felt that it was unbelievable. The students of Donghuang Yonggu College must have a mark on their body. No matter who it was, no one dared to provoke them. No matter who it was in Tianlong Court, it was impossible for them to do such a thing, right? Half a year ago, my junior brother had yet to come to Donghuang Yonggu College and join as a student. Lu Hua coldly said, "He just asked for directions from your Tianlong Court's disciple, and the result was that he was led here and framed. Do you think my junior brother would remember wrongly?" This. The few old men were extremely shocked. They really didn't know that such a thing would happen. From the looks of it now, the situation was very bad. In case of an investigation, even the entire Tianlong Court wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. Just as these elders were thinking whether to secretly kill Yang Yuewu or not, Lu Hua took the initiative and said, "You can rest assured. Every injustice has its perpetrator, and every debt has its debtor. We won't act recklessly. As long as you hand over the perpetrator, we won't make things difficult for you." All right. The old men looked at each other and immediately nodded. They knew that as long as the person involved was willing to give up the investigation and only deal with the culprits, their Tianlong Court would be fine. Therefore, they quickly sent someone to find Yang Yuewu. Finally, after an incense worth of time, a girl in enchanting clothes was brought up. It was the girl who ran into Kong Shinmu's room in the middle of the night when he was a guest in Tianlong Court, Yang Yuewu. She was directly brought up. Her pretty face was a little panicked, not knowing who she had provoked. Seeing Yang Yuewu again, under such circumstances, Kong Shinmu coldly snorted after glancing at her. It was this girl who accused him of doing something immoral to her. Chapter 4167. Junior brother, is it her? At this time, Lu Hua turned around and asked Kong Shinmu softly. At this moment, they finally returned to their human forms. At this time, Yang Yuewu, who was a little flustered, finally saw Kong Shinmu's appearance. Her eyes widened in disbelief. Isn't this the kid that she framed and imprisoned in the Sin Guarding Tower for half a year? How did he suddenly become a disciple of Donghuang Yonggu College? This made her mind go blank. When Jing Yifeng asked her to cooperate and frame this kid, she never thought it would be like this. If she knew Kong Shinmu's identity, she wouldn't have dared to frame Kong Shinmu even if she had 10,000 lives. "It's her," Kong Shinmu said faintly. His tone was cold, causing Yang Yuewu's delicate body to tremble. She quickly said, Senior, that matter has nothing to do with me. I was completely instructed by someone. I never thought of harming you." She watched as Donghuang Yonggu College's Kong Shinmu returned. She didn't even have the slightest hope. She knew that she must beg for forgiveness and push the blame to others. "Is that so?" Kong Shinmu glanced at her. "Tell me the names of the people who instructed you." Bai Lianyu, Jing Yifeng. Yang Yuewu gritted her teeth and said, "In the past, they were the ones who forced me. Seniors, you must seek justice for me." When these two names came out, the expressions of the few old men from Qingtsong Sky Dragon Court changed slightly. They weren't familiar with Yang Yuewu. However, they were very concerned about Bai Lianyu and Jing Yifeng. These two were the geniuses of Qingtsong Sky Dragon Court. Their talents were among the top in the entire Qingtsong Sky Dragon Court. The two of them were actually involved in this matter. It was simply. But now, these few old men didn't dare to cover up for Bai Lianyu and Jing Yifeng. "Bring Bai Lianyu and Jing Yifeng here," the old man snorted coldly and angrily ordered. He truly did not expect that such a thing would happen today. He was very dissatisfied with Bai Lianyu and Jing Yifeng. They were all thinking that since they had offended him, they actually let him go and let him become a student of Donghuang Yonggu College to take revenge. They were simply idiots. Unfortunately, they didn't even think about who was the one who harmed the other first. Lu Hua laughed mockingly at the sight of the old men's expressions. Naturally, he knew what they were thinking. If the upper beam isn't straight, the lower beam will be crooked. The saying of the ancients is not without reason. Lu Hua said faintly and did not specify anything. However, when the old men heard this, their faces all turned red. For a moment, they did not know what to say. That was indeed how they taught their disciples. Once they offended someone, they should kill them and not give them a chance to live. As for reasoning, it was of no importance to them. Whoever had the bigger fist would be the one in the right. They did not refute Lu Hua's words and pretended not to hear anything. Very soon, Bai Lianyu and Jing Yifeng were brought over. When they saw Kong Xinmu and Yang Yuewu, their faces instantly turned pale. Half a year ago, before Kong Xinmu had become a student of Donghuang Yongwu College, the expressions of these two men and Yang Yuewu had been extremely arrogant. At that time, Bai Lianyu had pretended to plead for leniency for Kong Xinmu. However, Kong Xinmu naturally knew that Bai Lianyu had been the mastermind behind all of this. Jing Yifeng and Yang Yuewu were merely people who had framed him on the surface. I haven't seen you for half a year. Why do you look so pale? Do you need to take some qi replenishing elixirs? Jiang Shunwu glanced at them. Seeing their pale faces, he snorted coldly. Jing Yifeng's expression changed drastically. He had never expected that the person he had offended in the past would become a student of Donghuang Yongwu College. He quickly said, Junior Jing Yifeng greets Senior. May I know what instructions Senior has for me? Have you forgotten what happened half a year ago? Lu Hua snorted coldly and glanced at him. Half a year ago. Oh yes, half a year ago. At that time, junior sister Yang Yuewu said that someone had molested her, so I followed the rules and brought the distinguished guest to the law enforcement hall. Jing Yifeng quickly said, all of this has nothing to do with me. I was just doing my job impartially. Bullshit. Yang Yuewu immediately shouted and glared at Jing Yifeng. Didn't you ask me to say that? You asked me to insist that he had molested me so that you could punish him. And you, Bai Lianyu, you were the mastermind behind all of this. You even pretended to be a good person in the law enforcement hall. There's no one more disgusting than you in this world. When she saw that Jing Yifeng was trying to push all the blame onto her, she was naturally unhappy. This time, she had directly exposed both Jing Yifeng and Bai Lianyu. Bai Lianyu, is this true? Kong Xinmu looked at that fellow indifferently. Absolutely not. Bai Lianyu's face was pale, but he was still struggling at death's door. He forced a smile at Kong Xinmu. Little brother Jiang, Yang Yuewu is slandering me. We've only met by chance. How could I do such a despicable thing to slander you? I'm also very curious about this. Lu Hua chuckled. Why exactly? Maybe you're too despicable. Bai Lianyu's face instantly darkened. However, he did not dare to say anything in front of Lu Hua. He could only say to Kong Xinmu, Little brother Jiang. At that time, the law enforcement hall said that they would lock you up for a year. Didn't I speak up for you and reduce it to half a year? He was hoping that his pretense had worked. However, Kong Xinmu had already seen through his character. Yang Yuewu, do you dare to swear that they were the ones who ordered you to do this? The few old men had solemn expressions. It was obvious that they wanted to protect the two young men and give up on Yang Yuewu. Therefore, when they said this, they put a lot of pressure on her. However, Yang Yuewu clenched her teeth and would not compromise. After all, this was the truth. She snorted with extreme displeasure. I didn't even know this distinguished guest at that time. What reason do I have to frame him? It must be Bai Lianyu's doing. As for his motive, I'm not sure. In any case, I have no reason to do this. I have no reason at all. What she said is very reasonable. Lu Hua looked at the few old men. Do you really want to protect these two brats? We wouldn't dare. The old men hurriedly said. Please investigate. No matter who is guilty, we will lock them up in the Sin Guarding Tower for 10 years. 10 years. Lu Hua chuckled. Do you think that locking them up for 10 years is enough to compensate my junior brother for half a year? The moment she said this, the old men were instantly speechless. They hurriedly said, We are willing to compensate. Chapter 4168. Looking at their anxious expressions, Lu Hua didn't rush to make a decision. He looked at Kong Xinmu. Junior brother, I'll leave this matter to you. Now, it could be said that he could do whatever he wanted. Kong Xinmu knew that if he insisted on killing Bai Lianyu and Jing Yifeng, the other party could only hand them over to him. Leave the three of them to me. Kong Xinmu glanced at them and said faintly, This yes. Hearing him say so, The elders couldn't do anything. They could see that they wanted to give compensation, but the other party didn't need their compensation at all. Speaking of which, the students of Donghuang Yanggu College couldn't have anything they wanted. Why would they need Qing Tsang Tianlong Court's compensation? Thus, they could only hand over by Lianyu, Jing Yifeng, and Yang Yuewu to Kong Xinmu. Moreover, it was under the situation where their powers were sealed. No matter how unconvinced Qing Tsang Tianlong Court was, facing Donghuang Yanggu College, they had no choice but to obey. After capturing the three, Lu Hua and Qin Fengyu brought Kong Xinmu and flew in the direction of the training mission. Fiery Golden Eyes Wild Lion. That was their target this time. Its strength wasn't ordinary. At least for Kong Xinmu, it was an existence that was extremely difficult to deal with. After all, he had just arrived at Donghuang Yanggu College. The time he spent cultivating was too short. As for that wild lion, Lu Hua and Qin Fengyu were still fighting to deal with it alone. Thus, Kong Xinmu didn't join in the fun. He focused on dealing with Bai Lianyu, Jing Yifeng, and Yang Yuewu. After bringing them out and leaving Qing Tsang Tianlong Court, the three of them became more and more flustered. They didn't know how Kong Xinmu was going to deal with them. Thus, when Kong Xinmu brought them along, they kept begging for mercy. Soon, they arrived at the location of the Fiery Golden Eyes Wild Lion. Junior brother, it's not a good idea to bring them along like this. Why don't we just kill them? Qin Fengyu turned around, looked at Jiang Xinwu, and said with a smile. How about this? Lu Hua smirked and said, Fengyu, you and I will draw lots to decide. One will deal with the Fiery Golden Eyes Wild Lion, and the other will be responsible for killing the three. Sure, no problem. Qin Fengyu smiled slyly and nodded in agreement. Seeing them like this, Jiang Xinwu was a little surprised. He didn't expect them to make such a decision. If it was up to Jiang Xinwu, he would definitely kill the three of them. However, how to kill them was a problem. Who would have thought that senior brother and senior sister would decide for him? Senior brother and senior sister decided for him. Qin Fengyu smiled slyly and transformed into a dragon, flying towards the Fiery Golden Eyes Wild Lion. As for Lu Hua, he seemed to have lost the game of rock, paper, scissors, so he could only turn around and glare at Bai Lianyu and the others. Senior, have mercy. I promise I won't do it again. Bai Lianyu, Jing Yifeng, and Yang Yuewu were so scared that their pants were wet. Their faces were full of fear. How could they have imagined that they would work together to harm a disciple of Donghuang Yanggu College? If they knew, they wouldn't have dared to do it even if they were given 10,000 guts. Unfortunately, this wasn't the first time they had done such a thing. It was unknown how many dragon martial artists had been harmed by them. Therefore, it was good to deal with them. They deserved what they got. It was also a lesson to Sky Dragon Court so that people in the future wouldn't dare to bully other dragon martial artists. Let them go. If they can withstand my attack for the time it takes for a joss stick to burn, I'll spare their lives. Lu Hua turned around and smirked. This? Kong Xinmu was slightly surprised, but he quickly nodded. Among the three, Jing Yifeng was obviously the strongest. He was at the 7th level of the Nirvana realm and had the Divine Dragon's blood essence. Bai Lianyu and Yang Yuewu were slightly weaker. As for Lu Hua, he was only at the 5th level of the Nirvana realm. Although they all looked the same, Lu Hua was actually much younger than the three of them. He's only at the 5th level of the Nirvana realm. With the three of us working together, it's definitely possible to hold on for the time it takes for a joss stick to burn. The three of them looked at each other and saw the joy in each other's eyes. Although Lu Hua was a genius from Donghuang Yanggu College, their realms weren't weak either. Maybe they really had a chance. Okay. The three of them nodded in agreement. Immediately after, Kong Xinmu released the seal in their bodies, allowing them to recover their full strength. In the next moment, the four of them transformed into dragons in front of Kong Xinmu at the same time. The roar of the divine dragon instantly spread dozens of miles away. Originally, Bai Lianyu, Jing Yifeng, and Yang Yuewu were all eager to escape, so they erupted with their strongest power in an instant. But in the next moment, the moment the two sides' power came into contact, their expressions changed and their eyes were filled with endless despair. Source Dragon Martial Technique. Wind God Burst. Lu Hua's divine dragon blood essence had reached the level of the Dragon King. This level was even higher than Kong Xinmu and represented the results of Lu Hua's cultivation in Donghuang Yanggu College. Compared to Bai Lianyu, Jing Yifeng, and Yang Yuewu, the level of his divine dragon inheritance blood essence was 2 levels higher. The Dragon King against the Sky Dragon. This was a battle on a completely different order of magnitude. Moreover, Lu Hua also cultivated the Source Dragon martial technique, and the power of the wind attribute exploded instantly. Not to mention the time it took for a joss stick to burn. Just this one move in a short period of time was something that the 3 of them couldn't withstand at all and were directly killed by Lu Hua on the spot. This scene caused Jiang Xinwu's expression to turn into one of shock. To be honest, he didn't expect Lu Hua's current strength to be so strong that he actually finished off the 3 of them in one move. According to the cultivation time, Lu Hua was probably much shorter than the 3 of them. Are all Donghuang Yanggu College so abnormal? Kong Xinmu couldn't help but stare with his eyes wide open. Don't forget, you're also a student of Donghuang Yanggu College now. Lu Hua was gentle and refined. He turned back into his human form and came to Kong Xinmu's side, patted his shoulder and smiled. Until then, the 3 divine dragon corpses fell heavily from the sky, their bodies full of cuts from the wind god's sharp blades. Those who commit too much evil will bring about their own destruction. This sentence could be considered a true portrayal of their lives. I hope you'll be good people in your next lives. Kong Xinmu glanced at them and turned to leave with Lu Hua. Lu Hua was right. From now on, he was also an elite genius of Donghuang Yanggu College. As long as he cultivated in Donghuang Yanggu College for a period of time, he would definitely be able to surpass most of the dragon martial artists in the outside world. Chapter 4169. This training mission ended very quickly for Kong Xinmu. From the beginning to the end, whether it was hunting the fiery golden eyes wild lion or dealing with Bai Lianyu and the other 2, he did not have to do anything. After returning, he obtained some experience points as he wished. However, he realized that these points were not enough to teleport him to the faraway Yen Dragon Emperor Empire. I have to become stronger and complete more training. Kong Xinmu returned to his palace and began his crazy training journey. As long as he became stronger, he could go on training missions alone. That way, the experience points would come faster and he would be able to activate the teleportation function of the East Emperor formation. And now, in Donghuang Yanggu College, the fastest way for him to become stronger was to absorb the energy of the dragon mark and quickly raise the level of his divine dragon blood essence. If he trained normally, he would need half a year to break through to the level of the Dragon King legacy blood essence. However, he decided to use his devouring ability slightly. As long as he did not cause a commotion, there would be no problem. If he used his devouring ability at full force, it would be 10 times the usual speed and he would only need half a month to break through to the level of the blood essence. However, if he did that, he would definitely be discovered by others. It was definitely not a good thing to expose his devouring ability. Therefore, he decided to devour at 3 times the usual speed. This way, he could break through to the level of the blood essence faster and not be discovered by others. After returning, he immediately started to devour the energy of the dragon mark to raise the level of his divine dragon blood essence. With the existence of the dragon mark's energy, he did not need to find the corpses of divine dragon warriors to devour. In the meantime, when Lu Hua and Qin Fengyu went out to train, they would invite him along. However, Kong Xinmu only went out with them once, which was a basic training mission that he had to complete every month. At other times, he did not want to reap without sowing. Although Lu Hua and Qin Fengyu did not care, Kong Xinmu would not allow himself to freeload on their training. Fortunately, he devoured the dragon mark at 3 times the usual speed and did not attract the attention of others. Sometimes, if there were people nearby, he would temporarily stop devouring the dragon mark. This kind of energy was almost inexhaustible in Donghuang Yanggu College. However, in the Alcade district where he was now, the concentration of dragon mark energy was not high. If he could go to a deeper level, his divine dragon blood essence would increase even faster. Of course, Kong Xinmu relied on his devouring ability to utilize the dragon mark's energy 5 times that of ordinary dragon warriors. To him, Donghuang Yanggu College was a place blessed by the heavens. It was the 2nd month after he came to Donghuang Yanggu College. Dragon King's blood essence. Breakthrough. Finally, after absorbing enough energy from the dragon mark, the divine dragon inheritance blood essence in his body suddenly underwent a transformation. From the original divine dragon level, it became boiling, and then the energy from the dragon mark was completely integrated into it. The inheritance blood essence of the Dragon King level, coupled with his devouring ability, had already made his combat power far surpass the dragon warriors of the same realm. If it was a dragon warrior of the heavenly dragon blood essence level, Kong Shinmu could basically deal with the 6th or even the 7th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. In other words, it was equivalent to the level of Jing Yifeng and Bai Lianyu. It must be known that those few dragon warriors were the geniuses of the Sky Dragon Court. There were only a few in the entire Sky Dragon country, and they had been cultivating for a much longer time than Kong Shinmu. But if it was the inheritance blood essence of the Dragon King level, Kong Shinmu thought about it. When he saw Lu Hua fight that day, he still shook his head. The current him was still quite a distance away from Lu Hua. After all, the other party also cultivated the Origin Dragon Martial Technique, which was also the inheritance blood essence of the Dragon King level. If his cultivation level increased by another 2 levels and reached the 3rd level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, he would be able to compete with Lu Hua. After all, his devouring power was the most magical power in the world. With the help of the devouring power, it was too difficult for an opponent of the same level to defeat him. In fact, Kong Shinmu could easily defeat an opponent of a higher level. It was just that he would have to endure more intense pain. After all, there was only one secret to defeating his opponent. As long as he did not die, he would have to devour his opponent's power even if he was seriously injured. If it was any other dragon warrior, they might not be willing to accept this kind of fighting method. Unfortunately, for Kong Shinmu, his fighting method had to be like this in order to be able to compete with a dragon warrior who was stronger than him. With my current combat strength, I can finally accept training missions alone. Kong Shinmu heaved a sigh of relief. During this period of time, he focused on devouring the dragon mark's energy and did not pay attention to his cultivation level. Therefore, he was still quite a distance away from the 2nd level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. However, since he was going to undergo the Nirvana Tribulation, it would be best if he returned to the sealed dragon abyss of the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. During this period of time, he could continuously accept training missions and earn experience points. From there, he could activate the Eastern Emperor formation and teleport back to the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. He went in front of the training stone tablet alone and chose some of the easier training missions. After accepting them, he headed to the Eastern Emperor formation. These easier training missions were located closer to Donghuang Yongwu College. Otherwise, he would not be able to afford to use the Eastern Emperor formation to teleport. While earning experience points, every time Kong Shinmu returned to Donghuang Yongwu College, he would slowly cultivate and continue to devour the Dragon Mark's energy. He roughly calculated that if he were to devour the Dragon Mark's energy at a normal speed, it would take him at least 10 years to break through to the Dragon Emperor's level. From the Dragon King to the Dragon Emperor, it was a qualitative change. If he were to devour at 3 times the speed, it would take more than 3 years without stopping. During this process, Kong Shinmu could not stay here all the time. It should be known that other than the level of the Divine Dragon's blood essence, the realm cultivation was also very important. If he stayed at the 1st level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, even if he reached the level of the Dragon Emperor's inherited blood essence, his combat power would not increase much. If he encountered other seniors of the Dragon Emperor's realm, he would basically be beaten up. With Kong Shinmu's current strength, if he wanted to earn enough points to teleport back to the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, it would take at least 3 months. Therefore, he was not in a hurry. While he was training, he chose suitable missions, devoured the Dragon Mark, and cultivated. During this process, he learned a lot more about the Dragon Emperor Kingdom around Donghuang Yongwu College. He also experienced many local customs and his understanding of demonic beasts also increased greatly. After all, if he did not know enough about demonic beasts, it was easy to encounter accidents during the training process. 3 months later, he had finally accumulated enough points. I can go back to the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. Moreover, the 2nd Nirvana Tribulation seems to be coming soon. Chapter 4170. After the brilliance surged, Kong Shinmu appeared in a world of ice and snow. This place was near the Dragon Sealing Abyss. Originally, this was the border between the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty and the Northern Chill Dragon country. But now, It was completely occupied by the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. There were too many Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty dragon warriors stationed near the dragon sealing abyss. They all came near the dragon sealing abyss to obtain the help of the mysterious power, thereby increasing their strength by 10% in a short period of time. This increased the overall strength of the entire Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. As soon as Kong Xinmu returned, he found that the originally silent black dragon consciousness had become even more unfathomable. Even he could not sense the existence of the black dragon consciousness at all. Obviously, this was because after approaching the dragon sealing abyss, the black dragon consciousness felt some kind of power from the dragon sealing abyss, which made it not dare to appear. Crossing the nirvana tribulation in this kind of place was very good for Kong Xinmu, lest the black dragon consciousness kept swallowing the power of the nirvana tribulation, which would produce unpredictable effects in the future. The Yen Dragon Army was stationed near the dragon sealing abyss. Kong Xinmu greeted the Yen Dragon Army and asked them to keep watch. The main thing was that no one could disturb him when he was crossing the nirvana tribulation. So although they were surprised why Kong Xinmu suddenly returned, they still did as he said. They were naturally very familiar with Kong Xinmu. If not for Kong Xinmu, they might not have been able to firmly occupy the dragon sealing abyss. It should be known that the northern Chill Dragon country was not so easy to deal with. It was because of Kong Xinmu's help that the dragon sealing abyss finally fell into the hands of the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, allowing the overall strength of the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty to continuously increase. Recently, if one wanted to be qualified to go near the dragon sealing abyss and increase their strength by 10%, they had to queue up. After all, the quota was limited. But for Kong Xinmu, it was no longer necessary. After informing the Flame Dragon Army, he directly went to an ice field near the sealed dragon abyss and tried to break through to the second level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Before he teleported back, he was already not far from breaking through to the second level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. At this moment, with a single thought, he felt like he was about to break through. This feeling was sensed by some kind of power in the unseen world. Then, it started to gather in the sky above him. The power that the Nirvana Tribulation realm cultivators needed to deal with once again condensed into the figure of a giant beast in the sky. The figure of the giant beast gathered an extremely powerful force from the heavens and the earth, and even had the power to destroy the heavens and the earth. The Nirvana Tribulation is here. This was the second time that Kong Xinmu was undergoing the Nirvana Tribulation. The last time he was undergoing the Nirvana Tribulation, the Black Dragon consciousness had directly swallowed the Nirvana Beast. But this time, Kong Xinmu would never allow the Black Dragon's consciousness to act. Even so, it was not difficult for him to deal with the Nirvana Beast with his strength. After all, he had already broken through to the level of the Dragon King Divine Dragon's essence blood. But he did not expect that the Nirvana Beast would actually become stronger as his Divine Dragon's essence blood level increased. For a moment, Kong Xinmu was suppressed by the terrifying aura released from the Nirvana Beast's eyes. The scene on this side was also witnessed by the dragon martial artists in the area where the Fire Dragon Legion was stationed. For a moment, it caused a huge commotion. That's a Nirvana Beast at the second level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, right? It looks like a Nirvana two-headed dog. It must be a Nirvana two-headed dog. It is indeed a beast at the second level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. But why is this Nirvana two-headed dog so powerful? It's even 4 to 5 times stronger than an ordinary Nirvana two-headed dog. It's too terrifying. Could it be that the kid has already broken through to the level of the Dragon King's inheritance essence blood? This is the only possibility for such a powerful Nirvana beast. Dragon King? How old is he? How is that possible? Many dragon martialists of the Fire Dragon Legion were shocked. However, no matter how unbelievable they were, it was a fact that Kong Xinmu had reached the level of the Dragon King's inheritance essence blood. It was an indisputable fact. As the Nirvana two-headed dog appeared, Kong Xinmu transformed into a black divine dragon and flew into the sky. A terrifying devouring force enveloped his entire body and directly rushed into the sky. The Nirvana two-headed dog's giant eyes flashed with a destructive force. It was almost unbearable for Kong Xinmu. The flesh and blood all over his body began to fly under the terrifying force. Soon, he was badly mutilated. Devour. Kong Xinmu began to use the Nirvana devouring force and completely charged towards the Nirvana two-headed dog. With his current Dragon King's inheritance essence blood, the Nirvana devouring force that erupted was extremely terrifying. In that instant, He had already turned a part of the Nirvana two-headed dog's power into his own. However, the Nirvana two-headed dog's power was too strong. Martial Dragon Divine Shield. Kong Shinmu could only display this defensive dragon martial skill to barely withstand the Nirvana two-headed dog's destructive attack. The Nirvana Tribulation of the Nirvana Tribulation was extremely destructive. If other dragon martial artists wanted to undergo the Nirvana Tribulation, the success rate would be less than 50%. Once they failed, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, generally speaking, every dragon martial artist would be fully prepared when undergoing the Nirvana Tribulation. At the very least, they would consider preparing a lot of elixirs, dragon weapons and the like to ensure their survival. However, Kong Shinmu did not have any concerns. With his current strength and the special nature of devouring Nirvana devouring force, he was not afraid that the Nirvana Tribulation would pose a fatal threat to him. Although he was in excruciating pain all over his body, it was definitely not that easy to kill him. The rumbling sound lasted for 3 days and 3 nights near the sealing dragon abyss. The Nirvana two-headed dog and Kong Shinmu, who had transformed into a black dragon, continued to fight in the clouds, producing shocking sounds. Such a tyrannical Nirvana beast was simply unheard of. The strength of a Nirvana two-headed dog at the 2nd level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm was almost the same as the strength of a Nirvana beast at the 6th level of the Nirvana realm. Finally, after 3 days and 3 nights, the Nirvana devouring force in Kong Shinmu's body was finally exhausted. At this moment, the Nirvana two-headed dog was finally completely devoured by him. At this moment, he realized that the Nirvana Tribulation energy was actually a great supplement for him. After the Nirvana Tribulation energy was devoured by him, it was completely transformed into his Nirvana devouring force. On the surface, it seemed like he had advanced by 1 level, but in reality, the growth of the Nirvana devouring force was as if he had advanced by 2 levels. My Nirvana devouring force is actually equivalent to the strength of a 3rd level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. Kong Shinmu was clearly only at the 2nd level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, but he possessed such strength. It was simply incredible. In other words, if Kong Shinmu exerted his full strength, he could even be comparable to a heavenly dragon blood essence dragon martial artist at the 8th level of the Nirvana Tribulation realm. This was an extremely huge breakthrough that even Kong Shinmu himself did not expect. No wonder the Black Dragon's consciousness wanted to devour the Nirvana Tribulation. I just don't know what kind of power this Nirvana Tribulation is formed from. Chapter 4171. Kong Shinmu had devoured the power of the Nirvana two-headed dog, so his body was full of Nirvana energy. Up in the sky, the calamity clouds dispersed. He did not stay long, but planned to return to the great Jiang Dragon City. After all, he had left the Yen Dragon Emperor's court for a long time. He did not know how the Jiang tribal clan was doing. Jiang Liuxue, Jiang Yuaning, how were they? It was not easy for him to come back, so he naturally wanted to take care of the people of the Yen Dragon Emperor's court. Anyway, the time limit of the Eastern Imperial Array was a year, and besides him, no one else from the Yen Dragon Emperor's court could use the Eastern Imperial Array. So Kong Shinmu could go back at any time, as long as it was not more than a year. So after he passed the Nirvana Tribulation and reached the 2nd tier of the Nirvana Tribulation realm, he quietly left the Dragon Sealing Abyss and flew towards the distant Jiang tribal clan in the form of a divine dragon. Great Jiang Dragon City. Kong Shinmu's mother was in the city, but the Jiang tribal clan was developing well. When Kong Shinmu returned, he did not alert anyone. He only visited his mother and inquired about Jiang Liuxue and Jiang Yuaning, then quietly left Great Jiang Dragon City. Currently, Jiang Yuaning had become the backbone of the Jiang tribal clan. The dragon warriors of the Jiang clan that she had chosen to cultivate in the dragon martial technique provided by Jiang Shinwu had greatly increased their strength, causing the overall strength of the entire Jiang clan to greatly increase. Among the nearby tribes, the Jiang tribal clan's strength had risen to 1st place. Jiang Yuaning was basically being nurtured as the next patriarch of the Jiang tribal clan. Seeing the Jiang tribal clan, Kong Shinmu felt gratified. At least now, the people of the Jiang tribal clan were living and working in peace. The dragon warriors also had enough resources to improve themselves and better protect the Jiang tribal clan. They would no longer be bullied by other tribes like before. After he understood this, he left. Before he left, he received news that Jiang Liuxue had not stayed in the Jiang tribal clan, but had left for the dragon prison city in the center of the dragon prison domain. Did he go to look for Xueqi? Kong Xinmu was a little surprised. He didn't expect the relationship between the two women to become so good. But it was true that with Zhang Liushue's talent, if she were to stay in the Zhang clan, the possibility of her future growth would be limited. He had to go out in order to have a better future. Since that's the case, let's go and take a look. Kong Xinmu thought that since he had a lot of time, he would directly fly towards Dragon Prison City after leaving the Zhang clan. The sacred dragon of the Shi tribe, Shi Tao, was a very good senior to Kong Xinmu. He had helped him a lot in his previous training. But when he arrived at Dragon Prison City and met Holy Dragon Shi Tao, he learned that Xueqi and Zhang Liushue had actually left the Dragon Prison domain to gain experience. He said that it was hard for him to grow under the care of his elders, and that he had to go out and explore the world on his own. Since there were people moving together, Shi Tao agreed to let them go out. However, he did everything he could to remind them to be careful, and that if they couldn't handle it, they should reveal his identity as Holy Dragon Shi Tao. In any case, a Holy Dragon-level dragon warrior had a decent status in the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty. Furthermore, Holy Dragon Shi Tao was on good terms with two Flame Dragon envoys. They were Dragon King Ming and Dragon King Quebec. If there were any accidents, the two Flame Dragon envoys would not be a problem. Flame Dragon envoys were one of the few Dragon King-level inheritors of the Dragon Emperor's dynasty's blood essence. Furthermore, their cultivation levels were extremely terrifying. In the entire Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty, they were at the top. Other than the Yen Dragon Emperor, no one else was their match. Big Brother Kong Xinmu, are you going to Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland to find Big Sister and the others? Bring me along, hee. On the other hand, the little girl Shi Yutong ran out and pulled Kong Xinmu to bring her along. All along, Kong Xinmu had more contact with her sister Shi Yueying, but since she wanted to go out to play, it didn't matter if he brought her along. In any case, he just needed to bring her back safely. As for safety, Holy Dragon Shi Tao was not worried at all that his daughter would encounter any danger if she followed Kong Xinmu. One must know that Kong Xinmu was currently a student of Donghuang Yonggu College, and in such a short period of time, he had already broken through to the level of Dragon King's blood essence. He was even stronger than the Yen Dragon Emperor back then. Even if he met some old monsters, it wouldn't be a problem for him to run away if he couldn't beat them. Thus, Kong Xinmu brought the young girl Shi Yutong and headed towards the direction of Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland. Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland was a large city in the neighboring Dragon Domain. It was extremely large and was a rather special city in the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty. At the same time, there were 4 Dragon King overseeing it. This place could be said to be the hub of the entire eastern part of the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty. In fact, other than the Yen Dragon Emperor city, Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland was already the largest dragon city. There were tens of thousands of dragon warriors, and many wandering dragon warriors would come here to train and improve themselves. Even the Yen Dragon Emperor's Demon Hunter Association's headquarters were set up in this place. Kong Xinmu transformed into a black dragon and brought the young girl Shi Yutong with him. It didn't take long for them to reach the vicinity of Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland. As far as the eye could see, the sky in front of them was filled with dragon warriors soaring in the sky. Most of them were true dragon and sky dragon level dragon warriors. Occasionally, a holy dragon level inheritance blood essence dragon warrior would appear. But that was already a middle-aged senior dragon warrior. In the Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty, those who could reach the holy dragon level inheritance blood essence were mostly middle-aged, not to mention the Dragon King. On one hand, there were very few of them, and on the other hand, even if a Dragon King was born, he would be extremely old, and it was impossible for him to be as young as Kong Xinmu. The Yen Dragon Emperor's dynasty isn't small. Kong Xinmu looked at the appearance of Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland, feeling a little proud in his heart. Although it couldn't compare to a great dragon country like the Azure Dragon Country, the prosperity of Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland was already quite good. To be able to develop to this state, the Yen Dragon Emperor's contributions could not go unnoticed. I wonder where my sister and the others are? When Kong Xinmu brought Shi Yutong to the city gate of Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland, he couldn't help but exclaim as he looked at the dragon warriors coming and going. In such a big city, it would be quite difficult to find her sister. No matter what, let's go in and take a look. Kong Xinmu said with a smile, and brought the young girl into the city. The entire dragon city of Eternal Wasteland was majestic and imposing, but the dragon warriors were unable to transform into dragons in the city. Otherwise, it would be a violation of public security and they would be punished. Although Kong Shinmu's identity was special, he would not violate the rules of the city for no reason. There was no need for that. Therefore, after bringing Shi Yutong into Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland, he did not run around. He just strolled around the streets, and then planned to head to the Demon Hunters Association's headquarters. Chapter 4172. Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland, Demon Hunters Association Headquarters. Kong Shinmu walked into the Demon Hunters Association Hall with the young girl Shi Yutong, and found that this was indeed Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland, one of the largest cities in the entire Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. In this city, it was said that there were at least 2 flame dragon envoys stationed at any time. Therefore, Kong Shinmu was not afraid of causing any trouble. With the flame dragon envoys around, whoever caused trouble for him would not have a good ending. Wow, this is the Demon Hunters Association in a big city. It's at least 10 times bigger than the one in Dragon Prison City. The young girl entered the Demon Hunters Association Hall, raised her head, and looked at the dome that was dozens of feet high, her eyes filled with surprise. Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland was indeed Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland. However, she and Kong Shinmu were not here to accept any mission, but to look for her sister Shi Yueying. Kong Shinmu missed Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue quite a bit. After all, they had been promoted together in Dragon Eye City, and were already very familiar with each other. If Kong Shinmu had any friends of the same generation in the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, it would only be the 2 girls. Of course, the young girl Shi Yutong beside him was also one. He took Shi Yutong to wander around the Demon Hunters Association Hall, waiting. After all, Shi Yueying and Jiang Liuxue were most likely training outside, and it was normal for them to wait for a long time. During this process, they saw all kinds of people coming and going in the Demon Hunters Association Hall, which had an extremely prosperous feeling. There are already so many dragon warriors in the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty. I wonder how many dragon warriors there are in the entire continent? Kong Shinmu could not help but sigh in his heart. He looked at the dragon warriors coming and going. Among these dragon warriors, there was not even a single Dragon King level blood essence. After all, Dragon King level was considered a big shot in the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, and it was impossible for them to wander around the Demon Hunters Association. Most of them were true dragon and sky dragon realm dragon warriors. If they were older, there would also be holy dragon level dragon warriors. Every time a dragon martial artist of this level appeared, it would cause everyone in the Demon Hunters Association's hall to look up to him. After all, the grade of their essence blood was different, and they were naturally a cut above others. As for the dragon martial artists of the Heavenly Dragon Realm, their status in the Demon Hunters Association was not low. However, unless it was a relatively old Heavenly Dragon martial artist, basically no one would pay attention to them. Because the Dragon Emperor level blood essence geniuses of this level could come to Dragon City of Wasteland to train and improve themselves. The most inconspicuous ones were the true dragons. Basically, they followed the Heavenly Dragon Inheritance dragon martial artists. Whether it was accepting missions or other things, they had to rely on the Heavenly Dragon powerhouses. Basically, true dragon inheritors were just running errands for them. This made Shi Yutong somewhat unhappy. After all, she had only inherited a true dragon's inheritance blood, and it did not matter if she had her father's protection in Dragon Prison City. But after coming to Dragon City of Eternal Wasteland, she felt how insignificant she was. Dragon level dragon level dragon level 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 dragon level sea realm level king level dragon level. Shi Yutong was a little envious, but she was not jealous. After all, she was her sister. She grew up with her and shared everything with her. However, she also wanted divine dragon level inheritance blood essence to improve. But no matter how hard she tried, it was difficult. As the daughter of Holy Dragon Shi Tao, she naturally had the opportunity to improve in the future, but it was not something that could be improved in a short period of time. Kong Shinmu saw her mood and suddenly had a thought. He could use the power of devouring to heal others. Then, could he use the power of devouring to improve others' divine dragon level bloodline? He was currently cultivating in Donghuang Yonggu College, and could absorb a lot of dragon mark energy. This was the purest power to improve the level of inheritance blood essence. No one in the Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty had the chance to absorb it. I can try at night. Kong Shinmu could not help but think. After a day, they did not see any trace of Jiang Liuxue and Shi Yueying. They could only leave when the Demon Hunters Association closed. They found a restaurant and inn and booked a room to stay in. Just one room? Shi Yutong's face was red to the neck. Yes, we have something to do tonight. I have an idea that I want to try. Kong Shinmu nodded and brought the girl into the room. Not only Shi Yutong, but even the innkeeper looked at them with a dubious expression. However, he did not expose them. His gaze made Shi Yutong extremely shy. Her heart was beating wildly. She thought that Kong Shinmu wanted to bring her to do something. But when they entered the room, Kong Shinmu told her about it. What? You want to improve my inheritance blood essence through your ability? Shi Yutong's eyes widened in disbelief. I'm just trying. It might not work. Are you willing to cooperate with me? Kong Shinmu asked solemnly. Of course. Shi Yutong smiled. Brother Shinwu, do whatever you want. I'll go take a bath first. Okay. Kong Shinmu nodded. But when the girl came out of the bath, he could not help but have a nosebleed when he saw her. Because the girl actually ran out of the bathroom with a bath towel draped over her. Her face was red as she lay on the bed. Come on. This. Even Kong Shinmu blushed. Was it really okay for this girl to only have a bath towel draped over her? However, he coughed and did not think too much about it. He climbed onto the bed, closed his eyes, and stopped thinking about it. He mobilized all the devouring power in his body. It was not particularly difficult to raise Shi Yutong's true dragon inheritance blood to the heavenly dragon level. The amount of dragon mark energy required was too little. Kong Shinmu, who returned from Donghuang Yonggu College. In the entire Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty, apart from him, no one else had such pure dragon mark energy. Even other students from Donghuang Yonggu College would not have such a terrifying ability to devour everything like Kong Shinmu. Holding the girl's hand, Kong Shinmu's devouring power began to operate. He slowly extracted the dragon mark energy that had merged with his blood essence and transferred it to the girl. The dragon mark's energy entered her body, causing her to feel a little hot all over. She had never felt such pure dragon mark energy in her life. But it made the divine dragon inheritance blood essence in her body boil. No one else in the entire Yen Dragon Emperor dynasty had such a feeling. Shi Yutong felt sweet in her heart. She could see that Kong Shinmu really cared about her. Otherwise, he would not have helped her so much. After all, she could feel that the dragon mark energy that was transferred to her body came from Kong Shinmu's body. There was even a remnant of Kong Shinmu's aura. You're tuning in to the Xueqi's Martial Arts Saga YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.